Well, hello folks, how's it going? Again, I like to do this intro for people who might stumble across this at some point, whether that's on YouTube or on Twitch. I am streaming on both YouTube and Twitch. I am an LPL caster and a all-round League of Legends analyst. I've been VOD reviewing these games at Worlds, both on, well, streaming it live, and then it's saved to both Twitch and YouTube, and today we're doing Weibo versus BLG. Now, I've cast this matchup a bunch of times, and I know these teams really, really well, so hopefully you can kind of leverage off of some of that experience which I've had, and you can learn something from that, and hopefully we learn some stuff together here as well, because this is a very high-profile game. And yeah, so I just need to make sure that some tech stuff is working here. One sec, I gotta bring up my pen. There's an epic pen I gotta use, which I presume is better than regular pens, but you know, you never know these days. Wow, so epic, incredible. Right, we have that. So without further ado, I think we should get straight into this. Hang on, wait, I didn't ping my door. Hang on, folks, 1 second. I would say get straight into it. I normally ping my Discord when I have a Discord too, by the way. You can always join that. So people know when I'm streaming. Okay, cool, that's done. Right, okay, without further ado then, folks, let's get towards this. Let me very quickly get myself YouTube chat open as well on my other side. Oh, there's just this admin stuff I gotta do here. Right, and then we'll get started. We'll get started ASAP. Sorry, folks, I forgot there's some extra stuff I needed to do. But yeah, I've been casting the LPL for the last 2 years. I cast LEC before that. I've been part of the ERLs as well. I've cast LJL, so I've been all over the place. I consider myself a bit of a globie when it comes to World League of Legends stuff in terms of analysis. Right, let's get going on this then. So, as we come into the series, important to know, Weibo won the Toincast coming into semi-final, so they got side select for the first game, which is important, because as we've said in a lot of our VOD reviews, blue side is very, very powerful. Why is it very, very powerful? Because typically on red side, you start banning out stuff like Aurora, Skarner, and Yone, all very, very powerful champions, which most people are not willing to give over. So, Weibo, with their freedom of blue side, I think do something quite intelligent here. Also, hi, Admo, how's it going? I think they do something quite intelligent here. On has been poor for BLG. Now, for those of you who've watched BLG regionally, this is not a surprise. On can have games like we have seen from him, where he really does. I just saw the Casey's signs in the background. That's cool. Yeah. But yeah, On has had some really ropey games. However, he has looked good on Rakan. I think it is completely reasonable to ban this away. If On starts having his mega ints, you can really get under the skin of them as a whole team. Also, particularly with Shun subbing in midway through Worlds, jungle support is very important in Pro League of Legends. If On is struggling and Shun has been subbed back in, if On then starts struggling, it makes Shun's drop even harder. And I do think that he has been a little bit ropey as well. He's been fine, but he's been a little bit ropey. So there's definitely some threads to pull there. So I think in terms of other first bans, I do spend a lot of time on draft, by the way, in case... I hope there's a lot of interesting stuff in here, but I do spend a lot of time on draft. So, I do think that these two picks are very good. I think that Aurora, it's good for Xiaohu, and Orianna is as well, because they're just very... leave it alone and they'll be fine in lane and turn up to team fights later. You don't have to put resources into them. Weibo do not put resources into Xiaohu. Typically, they put resources into Breathe. Now, this might be a bit different in this game because they're against Bin. Bin is very, very good, even when other people try and focus his lane and put resources into his lane opponent. So that might not be something which Weibo want to do, but I do think that for BLG, just saying, all right, we don't need to ban all of the OPs. Actually, let's just make sure that Xiaohu doesn't have a solid laning phase, which he can just do on his own. I think that's quite intelligent. And as we already said, the Rakan on the other side is good too. The Silas is a bit more tier listy, but we've seen that Knight is incredibly potent at that pick. Yeah, now this is a very interesting gambit. I know we've only just gone forward like 10 seconds or so, but this draft is very loaded. And for the first draft as well, I think there's real value in going into this. So at this point, with just the 2 bans left, you have Yone and you have Skarner available. So at this junction, Weibo have made the choice to not ban both OPs. They are trading both OPs. Now, they could have banned Skarner or Yone here, and maybe forced BLG to ban the other one on their last ban as well. They choose to ban the Ashe. Ashe has actually been something which Light has been doing very, very well with. So that is... a bit confusing for me. I think that Light for me really needs to be on Ezreal or Ashe. They're his two best champions by far. However, with the Ashe ban, potentially what you're doing is opening up for a Kalista. Both of these players are Kalista players. Elk has had it banned away from him most of the tournament, and Light is a player of it too. My problem is, I don't think Light has actually looked as good on Kalista as the Ezreal and the Ashe. So for me, this is... Look, it's game one and a best of 5. There are some things you can do with this. You know, you can be a bit more experimental with your first game because you have 2 more to drop after that. And then the Maokai is the last ban, which I think we'll see that's important later into the series. From what I remember, Weibo start using it as a flex pick. That's a little bit of a spoiler, I guess, but I think this might be scrim information. Someone might have leaked some stuff to BLG. However, also Maokai is very, very good for Weibo in general. Tarzan is one of the best Maokai players of all time. So they first lock the Yone, and insta-lock Jax Skarner. So if you've watched my previous VOD reviews, you will have seen a lot of my opinions on giving stuff like the Jax over to BLG, because Jax is one of the best lane swap champions in the game because of his level 1 Counter-Strike, making it very hard to deny him XP and dive him. It's very, very powerful. And also the fact that he just eventually outscales every other Jack-of-all-trades champion on top side. But what I mean by that is, you know, the Jack-of-all-trades champions are Jax, Gnar, just make it a little bit smaller, Renekton, and then Rumble. These are the 4 which just everyone is like, well, I'll blind pick it. All of them do fine against each other. It's a bit of a skill matchup. However, I do think that Bin is the most skilled player in the world at all of these champions, so I think it's very, very risky to do that. And then the Skarner is the other OP champion, very, very tanky. So BLG have a very good amount of split of early game. Jax and Skarner can both play early game, but then they also have very, very good ability to play out tankier team fights later on as well. Jax can obviously be a solo win condition at some points. So we did say that with the Ashe ban, this kind of signals a Kalista coming through. With the Renata, it means it's very lane dominant. Now you are questioning whether we see lane swaps because Kalista Renata is so lane dominant. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Also, it's worth noting as well, when you have double melees here, the Renata ult goes really hard, and also the Kalista allows you to keep the Renata safe. So the double melees can struggle into the Renata, giving you really good ability to play anti-dive. And then the Yone can also do that quite well too, because his ult can also be used as kind of peel. It's not really what we see him as a primary use coming into it, but that's a bit different. Now, the things where this gets a bit different now, folks, and I do think that BLG, this Smolder here is really, really important. Smolder is completely fine into Yone. We've seen that from the likes of Chovy playing this really, really effectively, and we did see it back in Swiss stage quite a lot too. It outranges the entirety of this team. You can dive really far onto Smolder, but if he just stands at his W and his ult range, well, his ult range is absolutely huge, obviously, it can be really quite hard to get to him through the Jax and the Skarner, and we said that they're already very tanky. So Weibo are now at a point where they need to separate these 2 bits of the composition. These 2, and then whatever Elk locks in, and what alongside Knight as well. Because these 2 are very, very tanky, very annoying champions to deal with, and the other 2 are very long range. You need to find a way to get rid of these long range champions from doing damage, maybe with the Renata ult and then Yone diving into the backline, which then allows you to maybe just gun down these 2 before and then kind of just reset the fight. Kill the front line, make sure the back line doesn't come into it. So BLG ban away Cassante, which I think is really good, because Cassante is really good at kind of like stopping you making that kind of... he's really good at kind of separating out your front line, and also it's just much harder to kill him than almost anything else in the game. Very, very tanky. So that can be a bit of an issue. They also ban away the Gnar as well, which can sometimes be a split pushing threat, and Breathe is very, very good at it. Weibo banning away some of the longer range stuff. Kai'Sa and Ziggs obviously give some magic damage, but then also they are very long range, especially when Kai'Sa gets to 2.5 items. If you get to 2.5 items with a Smolder and a Kai'Sa going poke, it is pain in the ass. However, this is where things get really interesting. We see a Varus. We don't see Varus that much in pro play right now. And the important thing about this is that we're saying, oh, okay, well, banning out long-range champions and stuff like that. Varus has a good laning phase into both Renata and Kalista because he outranges them with both E and Q. And if you go lethality, you can go Edge of Night, and you can play double long range with both of these 2, being very hard to get rid of. And that's a problem, because what did Weibo want to do? They wanted to make a gap between those 2 long-range backliners and the front line. How do you do that now when they are so absurdly long range? When you get, Smolder with Fire Cannon using his ult and his W, and then Varus being very high range as well. That's assuming that it is poke Varus, of course. But in this composition, I guess, specifically against the Callista as well, it's got a good laning phase. So I do really like the Varus with that. The Poppy comes in, which is presumably an answer into the Jax in top lane. It can be. It is still technically flexed between jungle and top, but it should be in top lane. And then the brand comes through. So this brand is really important, by the way. This brand is very important. We see the Nico locked in as well. So let's have a quick overall look at the compositions. Nico is kind of meant to be here just for lane dominance. What else? Should you have gone for anything else here? Rakan's gone. I think Nico is there for lane dominance to maybe force the fact that... So we were saying earlier in the draft, well, Callista and Ada kind of just body lane should you lane swap against them. I think with Varus Nico, you don't have to. Also, Nico is really good at just using defensive ults as well if you dive in with something like the... well, yeah. I think Nico is going to have a hard game. It's really, really hard to dive into something like a Poppy and a Brand. These two will... Actually, all of this stuff will instantly kill you. So Nico is going to have a bad time. This is for laning phase and not much else. You don't have a Callista ult yourself. So, you are heavy outranged by Weibo. However, you have some X factors to make this work. So, your game plan is wait for one of these three to dive, and then you use this guy and this person's ult as well. Use their two ults, maybe this person's ult as well. Use Poppy, Yone, and Renata to try and separate these blokes away from the team. You try and isolate one of the front line, one of the divers. You try and isolate one of them, you use these ults in whatever way you can, and then while that is happening, you burn through the front line in front of you with two of the best anti-tank champions in the game. Callista, who goes for Blade, Rage Blade, very good at percent HP damage and very hard to run away from them. And then also you have the Brand ult as well. I know these make these color... it looks like a McDonald's. I've just put Ronald McDonald onto the draft. Well, I guess I'll get in my clown car, I guess. Anyway, so that's the game plan from Weibo, but it is really, really hard because... these two are just so long range. They're so long range, and I think also if Varus goes Edge of Night, in this game you should probably go Edge of Night. Look, you have good DPS from and good anti-tank potential from both Smolder and from Jax. You don't need to be anti-tank DPS. If you go poke, these four hate your life. They hate their lives rather. They hate you so much. These are all squishy. They don't get huge amounts of resists in their build. Yes, you can go Zhonya's onto Brand, and you can Callista ult the Renata away. You don't want to be using the Callista ult for that, by the way. That's a big wasted cool, not a wasted cooldown, but it's a big cooldown discrepancy given the length of Callista ult's cooldown. But yeah, I think that BLG locking in the Smolder on 3 was really, really important because it allowed them to go. This is like one of the only long range mid laners left in meta right now. In fact, is there any other long range mid laner in meta? You have Smolder. No one's playing Ziggs. If you played Ziggs mid, that'd be huge. But no one's playing that mid besides what? TL? TL play that? Can anyone else think of any long-range mid laners? Let me have a think. I'm going to do something... I do this sometimes on stream. I try not to because it breaks up and it can slow things down a little bit. I just want to have a think real quickly about... let's have a look at champions being played at Worlds. Worlds. Champion stats. Mid lane. So... Orianna's longish range, outranges a lot of that kind of comp. Ari's not that long range. Smolder, Lucian ult can be. Tristana can be. So you have the 80 carries. Syndra can be. How many has she won? She's only won 2 games. Are you kidding me? Seraphine. Yeah, Seraphine's pretty long range. You have Hui, who's played 1 game as well. I know you can't see that because my camera's in the way, but Hui's at the bottom there. You'll just have to trust me. Cassiopeia's not there. So you have like some ADCs and then that. I think that Smolder is the safest of them. The E being able to cross the wall and then just being able to play around your W ult is really, really powerful. I think that Smolder is the best of the long-range mid laners. Okay, right. With that said and done, let's get into game. Because I was just having a think about what else you can lock in that kind of moment. Also, we know that Smolder is a good laning answer into Yone, who doesn't have the best level 1 against Smolder. Once you get to level 3, it's better. But even then, Smolder's ability to flap away from the players is really annoying for Yone. He can't actually, like, stick you into a trade that long. I'm just going to move my camera just a little bit, folks. Is that right way? No, wrong way. So I'm more centered in frame. Okay, let's get into it, folks. And a reminder, folks, I am streaming on both Twitch and YouTube if you have a preferable thing. And also, if you have any questions about other series which have been played, I have a full playlist on YouTube, and you can see in my recent broadcast as well on Twitch, all of the quarterfinals VOD reviews, and then also BLG versus G2. So there's 5 series I've been through for this world so far. And then there's this one, which I'm doing now. And I will do the T1 Gen G series tomorrow as well, after the games have happened. So let's get into this. So, one thing to note, it's a Halo Blades on the Varus. It is a poke Varus. So, with Cleanse and potentially having Edge of Night later into the game, Elk will be quite hard to reach once he gets to a certain amount of gold. So, let's pay attention to that. So, some interesting things are happening, because you can see there's a lane swap being geared up for by Weibo. They've got their bot lane hanging around in topside. You can see that. Do BLG see this happening? They have good wards. They have a ward onto the red buff. Hang on. Let me just go back again. I've got myself on box mode, not pointer mode. Okay. I just want to go through this very briefly again. So we've got one ward in river from Weibo, the spot where the BLG are hanging around in top river. They have defensive ward on Raptors, the BLG, and they put one on red buffs. When did that happen there? So Varus put it down. Okay. Because these level 1 wards are really important. And one of the reasons I keep tracking this is one of the biggest flaws of LPL teams at the start of the tournament was their level 1s. Their level 1s have gotten a lot better. They have gotten a lot better, actually. Okay, so Shahu stacks his Q on Raptors level 1. That's kind of standard. As soon as you see Crisp turning up here, you know it's a lane swap. If supports aren't really where they're meant to be at level 1, you know it's a lane swap. So they know about it now. Where was Bin during all this? Bin was hanging around topside. They see Crisp heading in towards Raptors. Right, they see him there. Okay. Do they clear the ward? No. He misses it with his sweeper, or they don't clear it. One of the two. Because you can see his sweeper's on cooldown. Sweeper's on cooldown, but they don't clear the ward. So BLG know that's coming. Good ward placement at level 1. Light waits for the wave to stack a little bit topside. Breathe is going to share XP on top side. On is in bot lane. Typically, you'd like to see supports in mid lane, which is what Crisp is doing. Bin teleports under turret. Interesting for Waver to do a 2-wave crash top instead of the usual 3-wave to force early TP. I think that's because they do force Bin to use his teleport early. Bin has got very little XP from this. By the way, notice the way that Bin is pathing here, by the way. He doesn't want to stay, because he's against a Poppy, he doesn't want to stay in, like, this, anything which can slam him against here. So he doesn't want to stand, like, in this kind of area either. He doesn't want to stand anywhere around there. And he probably doesn't want to stand in this kind of area either. So that's a lot of area which he can't really be in, because he doesn't want to get wall charged. If he gets wall charged, there's a chance that Bin gets some big damage onto him. Counter-Strike's used at level 1. Light, really good job of hanging inside just outside the tower range. Taking that one tower shot's a bit annoying. Bin uses that for the ward hop. It's important. Again, just using that ward hop to make sure that Breathe doesn't have good angles lined up. But at that point, I think he was fairly safe, but still. What else is happening on the map while this is happening? Where does Shun start? He starts on his weak side red buff and his Krugs. So how much does Shun get? Does he get his Raptors as well? No, he doesn't get his Raptors, but he gets the other 2 camps. So that does mean that Tarzan will lose out on stuff if he goes towards topside for any sort of dive. Which is kind of important, actually. You can see that Brand is going towards his bot jungle instead of onto the other side of the map. Which means that Bin knows that... So, yeah. There are a couple of things which are happening here. So now it's teleport away from Breathe from the top side. You still don't really want to walk under turret against a Kalista Renata, especially once they hit level 3 and Crisp gets bailout. That is a big problem. In fact, I'd really like to see what Crisp has as a... that's really important. So Bin actually flashes to get XP under turret here. This is actually really important. This is really important. If you get level 3, you get the extra stats and get a little bit of extra turnaround. I think this is the correct choice. I think this is the correct choice. In lane swaps, the biggest objectives we have really seen from lane swaps is top lane XP. If he doesn't flash Counter-Strike, flash Leap Strike here, he doesn't get under turret. By doing this, he gets under turret. Not quite there, then. And you can see how dangerous it is, like, walking up to this Callista Renata. Breathe is much more safe on the bot side. Bin is playing this fairly well, but you can see that also just not having the teleport to regen here just kind of sucks for him. No one's really pathing up towards topside. No one is pathing up towards there. Bin will be dropping some XP, and you can see, right... So again, Bin just really using his leap strike well. Ah, this is a problem, though. Light just took 2 turret shots, and that suddenly means dives off. Light might have just thrown this early game. Light might have just thrown this early game. Now Bin feels very, very happy. The turret had also warmed up as well, so it heats up as it keeps attacking people there. Crisp ends up taking aggro. Why did you auto-attack there? Because this is a full heated up turret shop. So now suddenly, I mean, look how much health they had before this. So Crisp is on, you know, 600 HP. Light is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 700. So they've got about 1300 health between them. And then suddenly, 250 odd, 300. They lose about 800 HP between them by taking three tower shots. That's really bad, because I actually think that Weibo played this fairly well. You know, no one was coming to help Bin. Bin would have been slowly bleeding out. Breathe has full HP on the other side too. Plus he also has Pot and Cookies. Also just being level 4 as Poppy makes you really, really hard to dive as well. Your W makes it quite hard to dive. So do BLG go for a full dive hit? Because I mean, BLG now feel emboldened with this because they know that no one's gonna hurt Bin on the other side because everyone's lost too much HP. So hang on. Let me just see. Does Nico get the extended root range? No, Nico doesn't get the extended root range. That's quite important actually. So if Nico's E goes through another target before it hits you, it doubles the CC length. And if it does, if you get it through a minion there, if you get it through a minion there, then Breathe dies. You would get another auto attack on there. Hey, Ferguson, good to see you. Yeah, so then on the other side, you know, we just said, oh, 800 HP lost in that top lane dive. What happens here? So we have Elk has 900 HP. And then On has full HP as well. So that'll be... Wait, how much is that? That'll also be like another 900 HP or so. So that's about 1,800. Shun has... Oh, fuck it. They've all got about 900 HP at level 4 also. So let's see how much they get away with. On walks away with 150. Elk walks away with about 30 HP. So that's about, I don't know, call it 150 and On. Between Elk and On, they probably have about 200 HP. And then Shun walks away with about 80 HP as well. Jesus Christ. So they had about 2,700 HP between them. And they end up losing, going down to about 300 HP between all of them before pots start ticking through. They lose about 2,500 HP. Jesus Christ. Oh god. Yeah, going back to the comment there you were saying in chat about it's interesting to see how Weibo went for the 2-wave crash instead of the usual 3-wave crash. Yeah, I do agree. I do think that Callista Renata are really threatening at jumping in and out of turret range, though. And they don't always full dive you. They can poke out with Callista Qs and also hopping in and out of turret range with autos as well. I think they can do level 2 dives pretty well on the whole. I do think it's still better to go for the 3-wave dive. But once they see Bin, I think... going for the 2-wave push gets the teleport out a little easier from Bin, and it means that if he dies after that point, it is very, very bad at that early stage in the game. So I don't think that's... I think that's considered from Weibo. I don't think that's bad. So now, after all this, neither top laners died. Breathe and Bin somehow end up with similar XP because Light and Crisp stop... They stopped... they couldn't stop Bin from getting that much XP after this point. We now have double tier being built up from BLG. Also worth noting, Knight completely fine in mid lane. Completely fine from this as well. Yeah. I mean, you do need to be a little bit careful as Smolder walking up. Hang on. Knight lost his flash. Where did Knight lose his flash? Hang on a second. Did I miss something? Where did Knight lose his flash? Knight lost his flash in mid lane. What happened there? Did Tarzan come in there? Where did Knight lose his flash from? Did Knight come in? Did Tarzan come in mid lane? Did we just miss that? Ah, yeah. Oh, no. Yes, no, I was on screen. I'm just bad. I just missed that. So a little bit of an overpush from Knight. Knight does this, by the way. He will just push lane without disregard. Well, he's pretty good at getting away with it with his life, but he does push very, very hard. I do think, though, if there's a time to be doing this, it is when 3 members of bot lane would quite like to know that the jungler is not coming to kill them. I guess they would have known that anyway. They have a load of wards on bot side. No, you know what? I take that back. Yeah, it's a bit of an overpush. It's whatever. He's getting XP, he's getting farm. Does need to be a bit careful. I mean, Shahu also... How much HP does Shahu... Does he get... Hang on, does he take minion aggro from this? Does he take minion aggro on his way in? Because if he does, then that might be where he loses a lot of his HP. Oh, he takes the full channel of Smolder E. Yeah. It's actually quite a lot of damage if it's all on target. It's just rarely do you see the Smolder E being fully channeled on someone. I feel like Weibo macro was bad, but I feel like they were fighting okay. I actually think it's the other way around. I think that the macro was really good, and I think that their fighting wasn't awesome. Well, some of it wasn't. I also... Yeah, I think that Shin and On struggled for bits of this series. Knight's doing fine again, just stacking up where he can. 21 stacks in 5 minutes. Alright. It's one of the better reasons for picking Smolder into Yone. Even though Yone, you don't really, you know, you don't do too much against it. Chovy versus Quad was pretty bad, right? Quad got absolutely demolished. But yeah, if Smolder knows that no one's ganking his lane, he will just stack for free and he will actually trade very well against Yone. Yeah, anyway, you've got... We've now back to where we were after we were investigating the night flash loss incident. You know, Wave slowly crashing back in for Knight. Shun is full HP. On is full HP as well, so he can roam about. So now what BLG potentially could do is wait for... you can kind of wait for mid to push out. You know, there's a few seconds left on Grubs, and then you also have Dragon up as well. You can see that BLG have not... They've elected to not... Oh, this is interesting, actually. No, this is interesting. If you look at bot turret, 2 plates left. You know, they ended up having bot lane, you know, they were the beneficiaries of the lane swap. BLG are choosing not to go towards Grubs and rotate up there, and instead to say, fuck it, we're double stacking tiers, we're getting turret plate from bot anyway. And interestingly, in this meta, so we've talked about this actually between these 2 teams before. So I've talked about this between these 2, and I've talked about this quite a lot because on these teams, if you know these 2 teams, where do the resources on these teams go? And I'll give you a minute to think about it if you want. You know, when you think of Weibo, who gets the resources on this team? And when you think of BLG, who gets the resources on that team? So, typically when it comes to Weibo, this guy doesn't get resources. Xiaohu does not get resources. Actually, most of the time they go towards Breathe. However, in this game, it's a little bit different because he's on a tanky champion. He's not on a carry. It's a little bit different from Weibo. So actually, they're probably more likely to, because they have the Callista gets the gold. Now, in this meta, you don't see a lot of AD carries getting the side lane gold. You know, most of the time, it's, you know, even when it's an Orianna pushes up and takes this, especially when it was stuff like Tristana and Corku, we saw that a lot. But at Worlds, we've typically seen stuff like Jax, Gnar, Renekton. They get the side lane gold as well, because actually the Asian teams, the LPL and LCK teams, can actually take that gold and run it through into a big advantage. However, BLG in this game, one thing we talked about in draft is once Varus gets Edge of Night, he is very, very hard to deal with. So, you've already got 3 plates on bot side anyway. Nico likes having some extra gold in pocket as well. She's quite a gold-reliant support, weirdly. You might give up the Grubs in this amount of time, but if you get a bunch of plates going onto Elk and getting a load of gold, you are actually getting close to your win condition quite easily. I think this is quite intelligent from BLG to say, look, we don't need to contest from Grubs. We can get the guaranteed gold from... Hang on, am I just completely wrong? Yeah, I am actually wrong in this case. they roam up late anyway. They actually... God damn it. My whole point is actually kind of ruined for that. Jesus, I went into full teacher mode and everything. But yeah, just watch where the watch where the resources go in this game. So BLG walk up and they stop all 3 Grubs going over, I think. Yeah, they stop all 3 going over there. However, I do still remember from this game, though. Maybe this is looking a little bit too far ahead and a little bit spoilery. A lot of gold does go to BLG from side lane turrets. However, watch out from that. So BLG... This is now an interesting fight. Because actually BLG is staying in top river. No one's going towards bot side. Knight teleported in to push mid wave anyway. Grubs go down. Everyone on Weibo at this play has flash. Breathe doesn't have TP. BLG have more members on the top side of the map. They don't have flash on anyone but bot lane. Using the clone to spot things out. Good route. That is a good route actually onto Crisp. And they get the flash out of crit. Why are you flashing as crisp there? What are you dodging? I mean, Shin's not got any more damage. Knight is just trading with Xiaohu. That's actually better for Knight because he's getting more stacks that way. So getting flash out of, I mean, getting quadruple flash out of bot lane's kind of big, actually. That is kind of big. It means the Kalista or Renata can't really be the wrecking ball that they want to be. Also, hey, Zelda Puppy, good to see you. Breathe is now getting the bot lane turret. Well, not the whole turret, but they get 2 bot lane plates. Elk gets the plates on top side, 1 grub to 2 grubs, so it's not, you know, complete blowout, but it's still, you know, Weber gets some extra pushing power from that. Knight's still wave clearing mid lane, and he's trading completely fine. He's getting enough stacks here as well. I seem to remember he misses that cannon minion. Maybe it's the next one. You know, he's just getting himself enough stacks to do what he wants to do. Dirk put in from Elk already. By the way, I learned about what dirks were the other day. Dirks are apparently the end of swords which have been broken made into a shorter knife. So if you break a sword and the end of it's still usable, you make that into basically like a long knife. That's what a dirk is. It's normally made from a broken sword. It's kind of cool. I like that. I learned about that on a YouTube short from a history channel thingy. Well, not a history channel, but like a history YouTube channel. Okay, so we've rotated around the map again now. Breathe is actually getting the side lane plates, whereas again, like, I guess Breathe... Look, Poppy's not a great tower taker. You do get Demolish, but it's not the best. Whereas on the other side, BLG, they have a bunch of poke. They get the Callisterol, so we've traded Varus ult for Callisterol, which is actually a very good cooldown trade for BLG. Callisterol is very long at first rank, whereas Varus cares less about it. Top side, Bin actually teleports in now. Sticks around to make sure the bot lane push is fine. Plates go over to Elk. Does anyone else get to share gold with this, or what? The economics of League. Who gets the gold is more important than how much gold in some cases. Depends on what your win conditions are. Bin's holding top side. You can see that Breathe is ahead of the matchup because of that side lane gold. However, you do get another play onto Elk there. Hang on, wait, did I just miss where the gold went over? Does it actually go down here? Who gets this? Does anyone get it? Does no one get that? Does no one get that plate? Huh. They actually denied a plate because local gold didn't go over. They actually denied it. That's kind of big. So they don't get all plates there, which is, yeah, I mean, as we said, more gold onto Elk makes a lot of difference. So he doesn't get that, which is kind of nice. So I think this is... Look, this early game has actually been okay for Weibo. They get away with, you know, they get away with a lot here. Jax is not... That's a good recall stop from on, actually. Getting two back stop there is kind of nice. You know, Elk is doing pretty well. I mean, this is now you've been stopped on your recalls is a bit of a problem. Because you don't get out to defend the map as easily now. Lethality does affect turrets, by the way. Lethality and Magic Pen does affect turrets. So you do more damage to them with your flat pen. And then suddenly, how much gold does he get from this? First turret, solo last play, 725 gold. And that's a lot of gold. So I don't know what his first item is going to be. It won't be first item in Edge of Night. It's probably second item. But he can go towards, you know, Opportunity or something like that. Maybe even Yomi's if he really wants. I think probably Opportunity, right? Knight, Mystic, and Cannon. On recalled early to get towards this. You know, Weibo do end up getting the grubs. However, that is potential gold. It's not always gold. Elk got first turret and a bunch of plates on bot side. He comes out onto the map with Opportunity. Has a ton of wave clear now. That wave clear does mean that you, from a, you know, like a full screen away as well, does mean that you don't get to push turrets that well. On doesn't quite manage to stop those recalls as clean. Wait, does he stop a recall there? Does he stop Kalista recall? He stops Renata recall, but not Kalista. Oh no, yeah, so On stops the Renata recall, which means Kallista's on the map, but not Renata. On's actually doing quite a good job here of stopping recalls. Because if you're pushing around the map with this kind of already early siege from Varus, just make sure that you're perma pushed in, poked under turret, you feel pretty happy about stopping recalls like that. You know, Elk's getting more solo plates, he gets another one up here. Is this the second plate from the same turret, actually? Yeah, second plate already, on the same wave here. Yeah, and just like how quickly these waves disappear, even at this point into the game. And yes, you know, there are plates going on to Kalista now, but I think, you know, getting the gold onto Elk, as we've said, is really important for what you want to achieve this game. Elk getting enough gold on poke Varus means that Hang on. Is this Skarner versus Yonitek? You ult, so he gets ulted. Yeah. So the thing is, you don't get to dash away if you get ulted that. Now, Yoni E does get out of Skarner ult, but your ult doesn't. Your ult will not dash you any further. So you lose your flash there. Knight manages to get some extra stacks because to push in another wave. However, 5 grubs on the other side do mean that full turret is taken by Callista. It's shared gold, but it is taken. And they get to push towards an inner turret as well. Elk gets this. How much extra gold is this again? Like an extra 425? So yeah, again, Elk is really, really happy. I'll also say as well, bot lane inner turret is a bit of a luxury turret here. This one's a bit of a luxury turret. It's good gold. However, it's gold split between 4 members. Split between 4 members, you know? Which is... Hang on, do we even see that gold kind of stack up now? So how much do they have? I mean... Light has 3... He has 4k. Does it go up now? 4.2. So each of them get 200 gold here. Whereas, you know, Elk gets nucleated 400 and a bit gold. He has opportunity. And yeah, you're getting to the point where actually Elk is going to get very, very early items. He has Swiftness Boots. By the way, folks, really important thing about Swiftness Boots. Those of you who remember Season 5, Varus mid, you'll remember this as well. Swiftness stops your own... Well, it reduces your own self-slow when you are charging your Q. One of the biggest ways to punish Varus is to hit him while he's charging his Q because he's slowed by 50%. Maybe it's not that much. No, it's not 50%. But anyway, the Swiftness boots do actually reduce the slow that you put on yourself, which means that you can walk forwards and not lose as much distance on your arrow effectively. But also it means that you're much harder to catch out when you're charging that as well. Also, you just move around the map quicker. It's good. It's just nice. I mean, getting Swiftness boots means you turn up to the place you need to be a little bit quicker. Even compared to normal tier 2 boots. Knight gets 3 plates on mid as well, so he's very happy with what he's doing. Because it's not just about the Varus. Elk is going to be... you know, quite safe when he gets Edge of Night, but the Smolder is safer in general. Most importantly, BLG is drafting well. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point, yeah, I agree with that. I think that BLG's drafts have gotten better as the tournament's gone on by absolute factors of, you know, huge amount of magnitude. So, as we're moving around the map again, Weibo really trying to use the... Oopsies, I've accidentally put the volume on there, didn't I? Weibo trying to use this Callista as a wrecking ball. However, I think it's becoming a bit... I mean, you are getting some good plates here. You're now getting more plates here. But it's just a lot of shared gold. It's a lot of shared gold. I just don't like the shared gold that much. Hey, Doc Shamrock. Good to see you. I don't remember the quarters draft, but Weibo was also a very good drafting team. The quarters draft, the one which was really big, was Game 4. The Game 4 Yanyo was really good with the Galio, the Kindred into the Galio last pick from BLG. That was maybe their best draft I've seen from them. It was really good. I like that. But that's a good point. I hadn't considered that from the... or rather, maybe I hadn't viewed that as importantly as I should have done. Okay, so using the Nico clone to kind of spot out vision, you can see how much goddamn damage the Varus is doing already. Get the 3 stacks on the Varus Q. It's a good turnaround from Tarzan. Get the cleanse out of Elk, which is nice. So actually Tarzan turns around some good damage for damage. Herald's up now. God damn these arrows. But yeah, I will say the start of their quarterfinals against HLE, bad drafting. End of it, excellent. The drafting got better as the series went on. But yes, the last draft was really good. And this whole series, from what I remember, was good drafting by BLG. However, Weibo also didn't draft that well in this series comparative to what we know they can do, which is a shame. Sadly, no more Brawl Morgana. So Herald started up. The chunking from Elk, that sounds like The Shining, like a new horror movie. The chunking. Anyway, the chunking from Elk has been quite big, but now he's pushed in mid lane. He's not here to continually provide poke. This is, again, reminder. I talk about this. I do make a point of talking about this every VOD review I do, because I think it's so important. Red side Herald is a thing, and grubs applied to this too. These walls are really, really nasty if you can't cross walls with your champions. You don't want to be stuck here. This is a firing squad. They put you up against the wall, and you die horribly. So, if you are here as a Poke Varus, this is a safe place to stand. However, somewhere, like this, is not a safe place to stand. You don't have cleanse right now. You also don't have Edge of Night or something like that. It really hurts to be stood somewhere like this, or even somewhere like this can hurt as well. You don't want to be stood here, so it limits your options a lot. This is a little bit different if you are something like an Ezreal. Ezreal can shift over the wall. Same kind of thing with, I will say, it does matter that they have stuff like Smolder, who can head over walls, and of course the Skarner as well. These ones are okay. However, if you are Varus or Nico, if you are stuck along this line of red side pit, you kind of have to fight. So BLG, they choose to kind of seed this really dangerous middle area all along this kind of wall here. They don't want to be here, especially against a Poppy, and against, you know, Brand, who can really hurt you when you stood in that middle range as well. They also have really good... That's also, by the way, one of the reasons why getting this Brush Pyre Pro is so important. If you get Brush Pyre of this brush here, the enemy team does not want... That looks like a Pac-Man. Anyway, you don't want to give over control of that brush because it allows them to kind of really hurt you when you're in the river there. So BLG peel off of this. The teleport comes out from Weibo. So Xiaohu has no teleport now. Breathe. Well, there's no reason for him to teleport down towards bot side. Yeah, Weibo were kind of spoiling for a fight there, I think. I think they were spoiling for a fight because they wanted to take a fight around early Poppy, early Kalista. They're very powerful at this point in the game. So they peel off of this, they get teleport advantage. BLG can't really start it back up again, they'd be wasting too much time. Weibo start up the Herald themselves this time, much better positioning for them. And as you can see, BLG don't really want to stick themselves along this kind of objective line. Poppy ult comes out to make sure that the smite secure is fine. There was a potential of a Varus steal because Varus is Varus. Yeah, yes, you're not wrong there in terms of the Nico Amumu similarities. I will say that Amumu is much tankier than Nico, so he can tank the engage better. But yes, you punish people diving into you, and you can also play aggressively. They're very good at punishing low-range compositions like that. That is a correct thing to say. That is a good... You have added a good point to the discussion. I think that a lot of teams have had time to discuss and develop anti-Yone comps at this point. Now, they don't always work, but they've had time to figure some stuff out anyway. Okay, so Elk is very, very close to Edge of Night now. He gets, you know, he's one back off of getting that now, which is very, very powerful. Because what Weber realistically want to do is, again, use someone to distract the back line, whether that is Poppy hitting them with an ult and just firing them out of the play, or Yone jumping at them and forcing them to run backwards instead of forwards towards the start of the fight. It's much harder to do that when they have Edge of Night available. Knight playing respectfully on top side, Bin pushing in towards the other side of the map. BLG know they're losing this top side. They are against 5 grubs as well. Good W from Knight though. Just gets an extra bit of damage. Does he chunk anything with this? No, just a bit of wave clear. Would have been nice if he could get the triple hit onto Chris, Tarzan, and everyone down there. Doesn't quite get it though. Still, Knight's stacking up completely fine. He has good stacks for this point, almost 10 a minute, which is fine. And Bin gets himself an inner turret. Yes, the Herald does get some gold on top side, but you know, Bin getting some extra gold for himself is quite nice. You know, BLG were already losing that top lane turret to the Herald and 5 grubs. That was, you can't defend that really. So that was fine. Elk also gets himself a mid lane turret. This is a much better multi-wave push from BLG. Elk with that extra gold will get himself Edge of Night on this back now. And now suddenly, I think Weibo have, maybe at this point, maybe they haven't realized it yet, but I think this is the moment where they have made some big mistakes. They've tried to group up around the Kalista, potentially force, you know, big tower pushes with the 5 grubs. However, what BLG have done is largely avoided them, got gold onto Varus instead, and now Varus is back out with 2 items with a fully stacked tier on the way as well, coming up at some point. And Weibo will really struggle to get onto Varus now. Really struggle to get onto him. The lethality is there. You have no armor across the entirety of the 4-member. Just look at the inventories here, right? You have no armor here. Yeah, you have tabbies on Poppy. Yeah, that's one person. Okay. Yeah, Elk is very, very happy at hitting people with low resists for the majority of the map. Knight's even got himself up to a very close to second item Muramana completion for himself as well. Also, this is an important thing as well. Muramana, when it's transformed, of course, will apply the extra on-hit damage to his ultimate. So if he gets an ultimate across the team, then Muramana will affect people from very long range. So if he hits people with a W... fucking hell, man. So what's happening here? So Light walks up here trying to threaten on. And then I think at this point, Light realizes too late that Crisp is in the shit. Yeah, he just completely does not respect what the hell Elk can do with this virus. So, and Crisp, what is Crisp doing here, man? What is Crisp doing? I mean, he's trying to pop the Edge of Night with his loyalty program. Because I mean, should he be doing that in the first place? So does Crisp take an arrow before this? He's not full HP. He's level 7 compared to level 11 of Elk as well. So he's 4 levels down. He has 0 resists. And then he gets hit by a full stack WQ arrow with a 2-item completed 2,000 gold advantage virus. What the hell are you doing, Crisp? He knows he's dead as soon as he's hit with that. I don't think Light expected him to walk up like that either. Crisp, what the fuck, man? Come on. That is not it. That is not the play. I mean, that's what Varus does when you hit 0 resist targets, when you have a bunch of stacks on them as well. You know, if you get a 3-stack Varus arrow with the W up as well, it's absolutely insane. So, as you can see, Weibo can't really do anything about Varus. And if that's the damage he's putting out onto someone like the Renata, who is a core part of your disengage composition as well, you need to play fights very fast. You need to make sure that the big fights happen in a single round of cooldowns, if you can help it, as low amount of cooldown rotations as possible. If Varus gets to sit there and use 3 arrows instead of 1 or 2, that's a huge amount of extra damage. And no one on your team wants to be tanking this stuff. And no one can heal from this stuff either. Mousy, good to see you. Good to see you, Mousy. Yeah, and now Knight is in a very happy spot. 210 stacks at 21 minutes. That's pretty much on par. Par for the course. 10 per minute is good stacking time. That's also really funny as well, because Skarner walks really fast, so seeing him walk out with the clone movement speed actually kind of feels like regular, you know, E-speed Skarner or whatever it is. So you can see right here again, Weibo, this is actually potentially very dangerous. So blue trinket goes down. Elk is looking for poke. If Elk loses his Edge of Night, then you can potentially flash ult him or something like that as Yone. And maybe you can walk towards it. So immediate blue trigger onto Elk, but the Q misses. If that Q doesn't miss, Elk's in trouble. Also worth noting as well, Xiaohu went for QSS. This is about... Oh, that Q. That Q. If that Q hits Elk, Xiaohu dips into this brush, he's off vision, and he will ult Elk, and Elk potentially dies. That is actually the angle you're looking for. That's actually a bit of an overstep from Elk. Now, he could also have just flashed out of the play. There was a chance of that too, but that is about as good a chance as you get. So you end up using the Callisto ult, which is a very long cooldown, and you use your QSS as well. And look how Elk can position now. Look at this. Look how he can position. There's a bloody Callista and Yone in front of him. These are aggressive champions, and you can see that Elk feels happy to walk up, technically into the active range of both of them. But he's so fed, and he has the Edge of Night shield up. The Edge of Night makes it much harder to deal with him. If you can immediately turn around with the Yone ult, he can't do that. However, Weibo still managed to get themselves into the river. Yeah, well, I think that was a little bit of a spook from BLG there. On used his heal as well. Did he use heal for the movement speed onto Elk there? I think he did. No, he used the heal. No, he misclicked his heal. He was going to use it onto Elk. And instead, he uses it onto Should instead. Wait, does he use it onto himself? Maybe he does it for himself, because he thinks that Breathe maybe is going to pop him up. He should have used it onto Elk, though, realistically. Anyway. So, BLG managed to take the cholesterol, but actually it's still a bit of a spooky moment, and they haven't got that much good poke down. Elk has survived, but it's not huge. Fector, thanks for the follow, I appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. So, now Dragon is up. Brand is in a pretty nice spot. I mean, if he hits the clump there, it's okay. But he doesn't. It's a good split from Weibo. It's a couple of meh ults in a row from Knight, but it's whatever. Elk doesn't get that much work done there. So they forced their way back in by... Well, what it does... Hang on, I tell you what this does do. Because it doesn't hit that many people, but it does stop Weibo from getting into the river. So Scuttlecrab goes down, and because of that ult, it means that Weibo actually get out of the river. They don't really want to pile up and get stuck, get hit by that. Root hits on Xiaohu. Sadly, the E doesn't land, otherwise that would have been some extra nice chip damage. Thank you, Fector. That's very kind of you. And yeah, well, we've done a bunch of other reviews here, so yeah, if you haven't seen any of them, they're on YouTube, and they'll probably be on the past broadcast here as well. Good to have you here. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, so Dragon is still up. Let me just check if anything else was happening while this was happening. So, while all this was happening too, Bin was preparing to push a side lane. He ends up clearing some side lane flank vision as well. No one's really achieving that much on the map. Bin doesn't really want to walk too far. Thanks for the gifted sub, Shamrock. That's really, really kind of you. I appreciate it. Okay, so Bin pushes in bot lane now, so wave dives to turret. Weibo not in river. Bin has... So, Weibo kind of... I think Weibo thought that the fight would be happening around this kind of area. You know, this kind of arena. And by the way, I think this is something that Bin is very good at. However, now the thing is, Bin has pushed beyond this pocket. So he technically could still come in through this angle. This is going to be a lot of arrows on screen. However, he can also technically go for some plays around this kind of angle too, right? Because he can kind of escape this pocket and potentially come through angles from out here. Potentially. Potentially. So BLG, I think actually using... You know, I didn't like that Smolder ult at first, but I think it allows him to play around that again. Xiao uses his E. It's quite a long cooldown. Well, no, it's its lowest combat cooldown it will be. And they get themselves onto the dragon. Poppy teleports in to join the cohort again. Clears out a few of the minions there. Knight starts getting some... Breathe is an absolute psycho. What's he doing here, man? So Bin's on the flank. He actually goes into that pocket again. Breathe just goes for a big pop-up, but he's way too far. Also worth noting, I'm pretty sure Xiaohu still doesn't have E. Knight, I also love the way that Knight is positioning here. You know, Knight can look for W's across this angle and slow everyone that comes in. He can E over this wall, he can E over this wall. I think Knight's in a really good pocket here. Elk also has his Edge of Night, so you'll have to Q and then pop him up with that. And Bin is on another flank as well. Just look at how hard it is for, you know, Renata to get a good ult. Ult goes down here. That's pretty big, but then it doesn't catch Bin and doesn't catch Knight. Knight doesn't have ult, so he doesn't have everything to go into here. Elk also still has Cleanse and Flash as well. On is in danger. He is a bit. Shun also... Shun just chooses to tank that instead. Oh! Shun was trying to do something fun there. He was trying to use his ult to cancel breathes. Oh, if he does that a little earlier... If he does that... He actually gets... Hang on. Actually, you can see the particle on the ground here. I think Shun charges his ult, and it technically gets cancelled. Because you can see... I think you can see... This is... Wait, is that Poppy's ult particle, or is that... I think that's actually Poppy ult. Okay, ignore me. I think that's Poppy ult. So, as this happened, Elk does have his ult as well. Throws it on to Breathe. That will start... So, this is a big ult from Varus, because it forced everyone to go back. Bin is still on the flank. Good flash from Knight. Elk doesn't have Edge of Night. You can see how much more freely Yone can play when the Edge of Night is down. What's Shun doing over here? So Shun doesn't spot Light. Gets a shield on. Bin isn't in position just yet. Light is doing damage. And Bin gets on... this is really nasty now. Because this is actually what Weibo want to do. I think at the start of this fight, I was thinking, oh, okay. It's looking really good for BLG. However, BLG didn't time their advance right. Or rather, Bin didn't time his advance right. Because as everyone's going in, Bin takes way too long to do anything else. So, Breathe goes right in here. Knight doesn't want to go too close up towards, you know, potentially someone like Light flashing forward or Xiaohu or something like that. Shun goes forward, so that's one of their tanks down. Elk gets some decent damage. Knight flies back over towards the clump because he wants to be in range to DPS the kind of the bulk of the fight. Bin is just too late. Bin is just way too late. What Bin should really be doing, actually, is maybe even hopping over the back of the pit and trying to get into things. Because he ends up going in late enough that basically, he goes in too late, so everyone from BLG is pushed over into this direction. The Renata ult keeps them there. Light can even start chasing on if he really wants to, because Light is very strong at this point in the game. And there's no one to help Bin on his side of the fight. So Bin actually chooses a pretty bad timing to go with this. You've also now blown a bunch of flashes, too, from BLG. And Bin just goes down for free. It's a bad fight from Bin. And I gotta say, folks, if you look at the very... and of course, like, you can see that... oops. You can see that... you know, Light is still early game Callista. Knight ends up getting out of the Renata ult, but they just don't have the damage now. And On doesn't even get himself a big... I think you've got Cleanse and Flash on Light. I don't think there's... Maybe On could have saved him there. Maybe with a Flash ult or something. He could have potentially hidden Fog of War and looked for a Flash ult onto Light, but I think that was still very risky. Great combo from Tarzan. And Elk ends up dying to the Ben. So, I think really... Look, I have to say, a lot of people love Bin. He's a great player. His play in playoffs so far hasn't... Look, he was great versus Doran in a 1v1. His team fights in that series weren't actually that awesome, even against HLE. If you look at Game 4, he has some of the worst team fights I've seen from him. Yeah, I think that overall, Knight has been the highest level and most consistent player from BLG so far, from what we've seen. And you can go back to my VOD review of that series against HLE, and you'll see whether you agree with me or not. Obviously, very happy for that discussion to happen, but in my opinion, I think that Knight has been the highest level player. Definitely the most consistent. So yeah, a bit of a mismanagement of the flank angle by Bin there. And also Breathe, just Breathe is very, very tanky, and Light is very, very damaging and very good at chasing for this point of the game. Knight does have 225 stacks. It's good wave clear. He gets the true damage burn. He gets a good amount of damage onto here. Crisp ends up taking the Varasol. I will say again, it is a good cooldown trade to take the Callista ult. Callista does not build cooldown reduction. It's been a while since we've seen Lethality Callista. And then Baron, obviously Baron went down at the back end of this play. Xiaohu has QSS. He ends up flashing and ulting, but doesn't really get that much from him. He's out, so he'll end up dying here. And this sadly for... How does he end up in this position? Also, I hate that we don't get to see the exit of this fight. So we do get kind of a return onto the map. I would imagine there has been a recall at this point. Yeah, I agree, Supreme. I agree. I actually think that Elk made a lot of mistakes in that series too. I agree. And for those of you who might want to discuss that, go back and watch the VOD review we did of HLE BLG. It's a good breakdown. It was a good breakdown. So, Baron's been taken. Xiaohu's pushing up one side. Typically, Weibo do like to play very defensive with Xiaohu's side. Does he E forward here onto Jax? Why are you doing that? They don't have enough vision for this. That you can see on the minimap here. This E forwards here. Just look onto the minimap. Look what's happening here. Look what's happening here. Or rather, it's a bit too far. Like, look at him ping forwards and then ping back. But like, there's no vision here. So a pick happens onto topside. Maybe because the ults are thrown out in topside, he thinks he's safe, but he's not. So, and then he doesn't have vision to defend himself in mid lane after that point. So he jumps forward. He doesn't have that cooldown now. He overstays, and then Bin flashes forward for the stun. Yeah, QSS comes out, but maybe he thinks he's safe with flash ult. But he would have had to flash and then ult, probably. Red buff gets applied to him. The slow comes through. He E's, and as soon as he E's there, he dies. And the rest of Weibo are coming to his aid rather than doing something else on the map. So Xiaohu completely messes this up. That ult is too much from On. You don't need to do that as On. That's too much. Yeah, Elk's Ezreal game was largely the champion doing damage. But yes, Elk has had some good games. Absolutely, for sure. I'm not saying he's a trash tier player or something. I think that Elk's had some games. However, I do think that Knight has been consistently the highest level performer on BLG for sure. Keen has been arguably better than Ben. I think in a 1v1 laning scenario, I think Ben's been the best. And I think in side lanes, Ben has been the best. In terms of team fights, Keen has been the best, by far. I think Keen's team fighting has been absolutely legendary. I really enjoyed his team fighting versus FlyQuest. I think he was the best player on the Rift by a long margin. Large margin. Okay, so we have a minute until Dragon. BLG, they managed to stop Weibo's Baron push by throwing out poke ults from... By the way, Elk has had really good value this game from I know we've talked about Elk in other series and stuff. The Varus here has gotten a lot of value. You can see how much damage he's doing to Crisp in particular. It just means that Light's ult is consistently on cooldown. And one of the ways that Weibo wants to deal with BLG is just throwing the Callista ult forwards and using that to catch out one of the, someone who's less mobile, like the Nico or the Varus or something like that. Knight has Fire Cannon. That makes things even harder for Weibo, because if they want to play around throwing stuff forwards, Knight has a longer range to play from, which means it's slightly harder to get to him, and it's slightly harder to find that follow-up. So, good mid lane push again. BLG very, very good at controlling mid lane waves because they're so long range in terms of their wave clear. They push up very aggressively, though, and they do maybe overstay their welcome here. Elk's looking for a bit of poke. Shouldn't really be looking for poke. That's a really important slow into Tarzan. This E here really, really hurts because Tarzan doesn't have flash and he's not a mobile champion. So Tarzan, because of that slow from a max E rank, it's max E rank Varus, doesn't get that much done. It's a really good flash away from Knight. So is that flash for flash? So that's flash for flash. If that hits, yeah, Knight might die. That's a good flash. Good flash. Xiaohu then comes in, but he can't achieve anything, and there wouldn't have been any follow-up from Tarzan anyway. So there's a couple of things which go well for BLG there. It is flash for flash. I will say, Crisp not having flash is kind of nasty. While all this is happening as well, of course, Bin is on a sideline. Bin is on a sideline to get something good there. BLG give up a dragon. Now, Weibo, they do have good objective control, but they've started their dragon stacking late because they went for grubs instead early on, which is kind of important. If you give over too many grubs to a Jax, he will end the game through sidelines. I understand that. But it does mean that one of their win conditions is potentially delayed a little bit. Elk not the... Hang on a second. I don't know about that, Xiaohu. He doesn't have Q stacked up. So he gets the edge of Knight. Doesn't get... I mean... He has QSS. He can actually ping back... What does he QSS through? The Varus ult? You could just ping back here. Okay. I mean, he gets out with 3 ults for 1. Well, 2, I guess. Crisp uses his, but... I don't know about that one, buddy. I don't know about that one. That's kind of insane. What is the plan here? So, Breathe is pushing out topside. What is the point of this? Oh, you do get flash off of Elk. You know what? Getting flash out of Elk is actually worth it. No, that's... You know what? Yeah, getting flash out of Elk makes... Look, if you died for this, it's not good. You get flash cleanse out of Elk. That's big. That's actually big. You know, I think that Xiaohu kind of overplayed himself in the Baron push, which is shit. It stopped Weibo from getting a map advantage where they wanted it. But that's good at least. So Elk goes back. He's close towards Cyrilda's now, which is very problematic for Weibo. It means that actually even then Breathe needs to feel pretty bad about things. Oh, also worth noting as well, I haven't talked about this too much, but Sunder Sky, Iceborne, Fimbulwinter is really nice from Poppy top lane. Also has Grasp as well. It's quite good into the 1v1 against Jax, which is why we've seen Ben not necessarily pull ahead in the way that he would like to. Also means that you have a decent amount of damage for what is a very tanky champion. Your burst is kind of nice. If you go Shield Bash as well, you are very, very happy as Poppy. Because Fimbulwinter also gives you shield to that point. I think Breathe's been playing this pretty well, in fact. His tankiness has been very, very good, obviously. But then his ability to disengage fights and look for big plays has been pretty good. So, now double sums down on Elk. Very, very big. You do still have a Smolder ult over the wall to be afraid of. Bin coming in from the side. On has Flash ult too. Glycerol comes out really... This is kind of the way that Weibo need to be playing the game, though. They need to play this a little bit faster placed before the Varus gets a huge amount of value. Load of wards onto Bin, get some good damage onto him. Does he die? No. Triple Smolder ult. Flash out of the Brand W means that Bin gets out for a summoner and that's it. No one's doing any kind of sideline plays right now. Xiaohu takes a nasty amount of damage. While he's jumping forwards and everyone else is peeling back down towards him, Skarner goes onto Poppy. Skarner is tanky as balls. Gets the Ixtal's impacts out to safety. Now Weibo are kind of corralled in. And what is Xiaohu's retreat pattern here? So he just runs into Bin. Wait, why does Xiaohu end up there? So he walks back here, but what's he doing now? I just want to watch him on the minimap. So he goes in a... He does have ult. He wants to be in position for an aggressive ult. But then he just dithers around in the jungle here and ends up getting caught by Bin. So he ults. Bin gets stunned, but I mean, the very good thing, the really nasty thing about Lethality Varus is that he follows onto anyone else's plays really quickly. Because the stun comes through, he's within half the screen. Alright, that's an extra half your health bar gone. It's really nasty. Crisp said Gyro to every BLG player at the end. Really? Oh, nice. I think everyone from the LPL wants the LPL to win. It's just that they would have liked to be the ones to win from the LPL, if it does happen, you know. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Elk just has a ridiculous amount of damage at this point. Gets some really good follow-up. Breathe is tanky, but he's not the one taking the damage. He can't guarantee that they're going to take that damage. I mean, Tarzan gets some good value too. But he's a huge amount of gold ahead of Shun, but it's much harder for him to get the AoE clumped teamfight that he wants, because you just can't reach the carries, and the Brandol is not bouncing to them. This is not, you know, these are very long-range carries. It's very hard to get, it's very, very hard to get to those carries and get the front line to bounce it onto them. If they were more mid-range AD carries, the Brand ult might bounce onto them. Even someone like the Jinx, right, who's quite long-range, sometimes the ult will bounce back onto them if you play it right. So now you get the Baron now from BLG. Xiaohu's had a pretty crap game. Yeah, Xiaohu's had a bad game. Crisp has been targeted very heavily. I'm not gonna blame every moment on him, but he had that one bad moment in mid lane. Yeah, but I do think that BLG were very happy to play keep away from the Kalista 5 grub push for a bit, get enough gold to get Edge of Night onto Elk, and then Elk feels very, very happy just walking across the game now. This might be last gasp. We'll see what happens here. Look how quickly they take this with Lethality Kalista, man, and Smolder as well, even with no grubs. Very, very powerful. So Xiaohu comes in from a teleport, On flashes away from potential wall stun. That's, On gets a bit betrayed by a blast cone. Does it matter? Smolder ult's pretty big there. And also Elk doesn't care at all. His Edge of Night's gone, but does he care too much? Okay, Renata ult's not awful. Flies over the wall. And now you're in a 4v5, On's down, but you do lose a lot of HP. So there's a minute till Dragon. Can you get good resets off? Fucking hell, that's an arrow. Okay, so Wayward take 1 and out. They do stop a bit of the Baron power play, but they've lost so much HP that they can't fully defend the turret. So inhib turret down, Dragon up in 20 seconds. BLG don't even care about the soul. They just want to just keep BLG on, they keep Wayward on their side of the map if they can. Wait, did Knight teleport back to his base? Yeah, he does. He teleports to the wave. Right. Yeah. Alright, let me just get myself a tissue real quick. Carry on. Okay, so BLG, get that push in, lose the turret, but they get a wave towards Knight. He goes back with the Baron buff. Does he get a full item? What does he even get from that? I don't even know if he gets himself an item. He does get himself some, I mean, stacks matter less now, but he gets himself some gold. He goes back out onto the map. Wave clear starts coming through again. Breathe knows they have to play quickly. So he tries, yeah, he gets the spell shield out of Elk. He gets himself a decent combo, but where's the follow-up, man? Xiaohu's not in position to follow up. He could E-ult now. No, Xiaohu can E-ult. You gotta go. You gotta go, Xiaohu. You gotta go. I think that's on Xiaohu again. You know, wait, is there anyone else that can make this work? Light doesn't have flash. But like, what else are you gonna do? You don't want. Knight is not in position just yet. You get the spell shield. On uses his ult. Surely you should be communicating around this. If you get Elk, maybe, I mean, maybe you're afraid of Bin cleaning up as well. It could also be on Breathe, but they get the spell shield out of Elk. Does it? But I just don't think it matters now, does it? Look at that arrow. Like, you've waited for the arrow to happen again now. I think Breathe is making the right choice. You have to play fast. That's half his fucking HP. I mean, now Chris basically can't play. That's really nice moving by On, by the way. That's really nice moving from him with the clone. Buys out the E. And then, oh my god, even Knight managed to get a tap onto Crisp as well. Bin's just hitting this for free, really good objective damage. Knight just positioning on the other side of the fight from Light and Xiaohu, who are real threats towards him. And then Xiaohu goes on to On with his ult. Okay, but there's no follow-up. Okay, so Okay, so they get onto On. He uses... So Xiaohu and Breathe are doing okay here now. Both of them get ult back. I mean, Bin jumps forward onto Tarzan. Alk's playing fairly respectfully. He doesn't have his ult up just yet. Not a great ult from him. Bin goes onto Tarzan, dodges the combo. Too many people chasing onto Breathe. Too many people chasing onto Breathe. Someone needs to... I think someone, maybe you get Elk to go back this way and then channel his ult onto these guys. Well, not ult, but he can use his ult potentially here as well. So I think maybe Elk or Knight need to do that. Knight is the best anti-tank killer here, though. I think he should be the one going on to Breathe. So Elk's chasing really far onto him. Also, he has his ult up now. So Bin dies. Breathe's going to die as well. But realistically, I think you have one of them just... I think you have one... you have, like, Knight chase because he's faster. Can use his E and stuff, probably, right? So, yeah, Bin has another meh timing. I mean, that one I think is a bit more disconnection. I think there is... Like, he gets good value out of stopping Tarzan from getting into the play, but also, like... Yeah. Yeah, you need to know that someone's following you. It's not a great time team fight again, yeah. On not the best play there himself. Was that what? That's 2 for 1 overall. I think Breathe does his job, just separates the carries. That's kind of what you want, right? You need one of your front liners to just disrupt the damage long enough that you can get some value. It's a hard comp to play, and I think that Elk is really shredding through them now. Last item, Serpent's Fang, to make sure that there's less value out of Renata E, and then also, hang on a second, Renata E, and then also the passive from Poppy. Also the Fimbulwinter. Shun is tanky as balls, man. So Tarzan gets hit. That's Varus ult into him as well. Elk doesn't even get his shield blown for forever. Let me slow this down. Shun hits him. Guaranteed hit for hit. Yeah. Knight doesn't get hit by this either. I mean, yeah. Knight and Elk are in a really good spot. If one of them gets hit, maybe you get a decent play because that's CC'd up in time to get stuff into a really problematic position. Knight has flash, gets himself the heal from his ult. Flashes out of a potential wall stun. Does Light flash forward? No, he doesn't. He wants to go on the clump instead. That's a really nice W coming in from Knight. What happens to Elk here? So he gets hit by the knockout. Could he have flashed that? I mean, Jesus Christ, the wombo. You're in a pretty bad spot there. Knight can reposition, you find a harder time with it. Probably should have found an angle to flash somewhere, but it's hard. Very, very hard. On is not... Where was On during this time? What was On doing? I mean, he's just not there yet. Oh, he died in the last play. Yeah. Light QSS is out. Gets some good damage down. Knockup's not bad. When's Knight's next fly over the wall? Doesn't even need to... Well, doesn't choose to. Bin gets himself under Sky Healing. Breathe dies. That's what, 3 for 2? On seems to be still in world form. Yeah. Okay, 3 for 2. Yeah, Elk not in the best terrain for himself, and On has provided very little value this game. Very little value. I mean, that ult is okay, but yeah. I don't know. I think On's champion pool is a huge concern for BLG. He's looked good on Rakan and sometimes on Alistair, and that's kind of it. On gets chased over again here. So, Weber come out of the base. BLG have been forced onto kind of bad resets. Even though BLG won the fight, they had to reset. Weber goes straight towards Baron. They're on blue side. Terrain's better for them. We talked about the terrain before. On ends up blowing his heal and his flash, which, yeah. You don't know who won this series? Cool. Right. You will hopefully get to learn alongside as them. I did see the series, but I'll try not to spoil you. So, good clip from Knight onto Tarzan. Would have liked to get it onto the clump, but he's trying to judge where they're retreating to. But yeah, they get some damage onto Tarzan. Xiao, who doesn't have ult now. Another W tag from Knight. Gets the burn onto everyone. Look at the spacing here from the carries, man. So Shun gets something onto the back there. Means that Chris can't just immediately channel his ult. Somehow BLG have managed to kind of like turn the terrain of this fight super well. Really good pre-ult from On means that Xiaohu can't just stick on to Elk. I actually think yeah, it's okay. On's going to struggle to do much else here. Bin is pushing the base. Yeah, Bin's pushing the base. Light gets... I actually think Shun makes a huge mistake here. I mean, actually, no. No, you know what? I take that back. Shun taking Light over the wall, I think is fine, because it means that Knight and Elk don't have to worry about anyone now. Elk will kill him with just the last few bits. Tarzan's going to die here to one last Q. Or maybe not. He flashes out. Yeah, that's fine. Shun taking Light over the wall means that he can't, like, finish anyone else off. Knight can't chase on for that, so it's Baron, but 2 dead. Honestly, not bad from Weber. They managed to flash. I'm surprised they walk out with so many. On has another pretty bad fight, but Xiaohu just loses some of his backline access. They go straight on towards Baron. I think it's a good decision to just burn it. You're not winning the fight now, not without the ult up. Crisp and Breathe, you know, they get some value down. I think it's, yeah. Pop ult's not bad. I think Breathe's having a good game. You know, even in finals of LPL, by the way, Breathe had a good series comparative to what people expected of him. So it's now to teleport in with the 2 dead. So BLG are against Baron buff, but they also have, I mean, this is a good decision, actually. This is a good decision because, look, BLG, they're against the Baron buff, but Weber haven't set up their waves. BLG have so much range and they have so much wave clear, it doesn't matter that you have the Baron buff. Breathe is trying to make sure that the wave doesn't come through onto the Nexus. This is actually the right call again. Breathe is actually making the right call. You need to make sure that you don't get sieged under here. Sadly, they just don't have enough damage. You know, BLG can just walk up and just end the game. Even with 1 grub, they are very good at taking turrets. And Xiaohu and Light aren't even alive again. It's a really good decision from BLG to just go towards the base. Very good heads-up decision-making. So, BLG walk away with game 1. That was a fun and interesting game. Right, let's go on to game 2. Wait, do I have a comment from someone? What is this? Oh yeah, someone. Hang on. Yeah, what I can do? I've got a break. I'll go for a break right now. Let me go onto YouTube. I can show you some of my recent YouTube shorts. If you're watching on YouTube, you might have seen these anyway. I don't know, but I've been making some YouTube shorts recently. Let me just see how loud they are. Might be quite loud. This one was kind of fun. So I have this one. Wait, did I show you this one before? Maybe I did.
As one of the best stories.
I'm gonna go quickly
Samsung White
put the
Talon was
catalog.
awarded to Pawn of Samsung White for his 2014 Worlds victory. But the story really starts with Dade, 2014 mid laner of White's sister team, Samsung Blue. Dade was one of the greatest players of the era as Samsung Ozone's mid laner, which would become Samsung White. But heartbreakingly, he fell apart so hard at the 2013 World Championship that a community accolade named the Dade Award was born. Change was needed, and in 2014, Dade joined Samsung Blue, swapping teams with Pawn, and he became the general for his team. He wore a special general's jacket which symbolized his role and responsibility, and he would never take it off. He would dominate 2014, including having a 100% series win rate over Samsung White. Then came Worlds again, where they faced their sister team Samsung White one last time in the semi-finals, and they lost. Dade entrusted the General's jacket to Pawn with tears in his eyes. White went on to win Worlds, and Pawn's Talon skin wears that same jacket to this day.
Wait, does this go on to my next
Talon
video?
from League of Legends.
Okay, I'm gonna go show you this one as well.
Have
I'm gonna
you
go to the
ever been
toilet, but then
outplayed so badly you can't stop replaying the moment in your head? Well, what if I told you that the most viewed esports player of all time has been replayed so much that the loser has been dying every second since it happened 11 years ago? So the League of Legends OGN Champions 2013 Summer Finals went to a tense deciding Game 5, and the SK Telecom T2's mid laner Faker pulled off an unthinkable outplay in a ZVZ blind pick mirror matchup of assassins that's been viewed literally hundreds of millions of times. So about 350 million seconds have passed since that moment, but if you add up every view on every YouTube video, hype montage, viral tweet, or you know, even this video you're watching right now, the losing mid laner Ryu's health bar has hit 0 for every single one of those seconds. So yeah, the next time you lose that crazy 1v1 you should have clutched out, remember, it could always be worse. Sorry, Ryu. Have you ever been outplayed so...
Yep, that's that. Okay, I'm gonna go to the toilet real quick. I'm gonna run some ads on Twitch, and then we'll get back to it, folks. So, see you in just a couple of minutes. But no, I don't edit this. It's SKT Lite that does a lot of my editing for me, or at least hands it off to an editor. Alright folks, let's get back to it. Let me just check YouTube chat as well. I know people saying that they should have banned Bin's Jax, but he really wasn't the problem in these games. I completely agree at Knights of Kite. I completely agree. As we'll see beyond this point as well. I'm fairly certain these games don't actually change that much if we see Bin not on Jax. I think Weibo did quite a good job of dealing with him. I think the big problem was actually mid-diff. I think it was a huge problem with mid-diff, which I have to say, this wasn't strictly my prediction for this game. I did think that Knight would diff Xiaohu pretty hard, but I thought that they would approach the top lane matchup quite differently. So let's get into this game, folks. Let's get into this game. Yes, by the way, I do check YouTube chat. It's just I don't always have it open on my second screen. But yeah, feel free to comment and I'll catch up when I can. Right, folks, let's get back into this. Sadly, this doesn't have game and draft order, which is a bit of a problem. Whatever, it's fine. So, last pick Syndra comes in, I think. So yeah, so we once again saw Orianna Aurora making sure that Xiaohu doesn't have a stable kind of isolated mid lane that doesn't really need any interference. We once again saw the Sylas and the Rakan, which I think is completely fine. Get on off of Rakan, that makes a big difference. This time though, Weibo choose to ban away the Skarner as last pick, and BLG still say, nah, we actually don't care about the Skarner. They ban the Ashe instead, which I think is good. I think that's good. They ban away the Ashe and say, well, now you can take the Kalista and we can take the Skarner. But either way, Light is not getting Ashe, which is one of his two best champions alongside the Ezreal. And then the first pick Kalista does come through. I think Light actually had a pretty okay game too. But I still much prefer him on Ashe or Ezreal. I think they're by far his best champions. So once again we see the Jax and the Skarner. Very good kind of Jax of all trades. Yeah. Allows you to do a bit of everything. They're very tanky, good in lane swaps, good from early game, good mobility, deal pretty well with most matchups in the game right now. And then after this point, the game gets super weird. So we get the Renata alongside the Kalista, which I think is completely fine. Kalista Renata very, very lane dominant. And then they look in the Maokai, which is presumably in jungle. However, if you notice here, the brand is banned in second round. BLG have managed to get some scrim information somehow. You don't ban junglers if you think that the Maokai is going jungle. So, they know in advance that the Maokai is going top lane. So somehow, BLG have gotten some cheeky information out about Weibo here. I mean, on the whole, regardless of where these roles are, the Maokai is very good at providing this kind of spacing in team fights where I'm going to do some drawing on the screen. So let's just do, is this blue, this good enough for blue side? So this is your, if you imagine this is your blue side front line and this is your blue side back line, something like this. And then on red side, you also have a front line and a back line. So if Maokai ends up throwing an ult like this, then the red side back, oh, fuck's sake. And then the red side backline doesn't end up being there because actually what happens is the red side backline ends up either scattering and going inwards like this, or they go outwards like this. Either way, they get themselves into a position where their backline is kind of stuck back here and they're out of range to do anything, or they're off to the sides and not under great terrain. What that means is that Kalista can just gun down on whoever's left here. And they can stack people up without being worried about anyone kind of going through. I know it's a lot of arrows, but just think about it, right? When the Maokai casts the ult, the enemy backline can be in a bit of a bad spot. So, that is kind of why, it's one of the reasons why we see that the Elkenheimer gets locked back in. Elkon Ziggs, the man himself. Because Ziggs doesn't care as much about that. He's too long range, he can throw his ult from anywhere. It means that even though if Maokai pushes you out of the fight, you can still ult back in. And you can still ult and Q back in. You're very long range. Also, your laning phase isn't awful versus even Kalista Renata because you're very good at getting access to farm. That can be very powerful. Once again, we see the Gnar banned away from Breathe as well, which has been his best champion, I think, at this tournament. On the other side, Weibo, they ban out the Smolder, which obviously was very good in the last game. And they ban out the Cassiopeia as well. That, to me, that Cassiopeia ban, that signifies that you're going for, well, obviously a mobile mid-range champion in mid lane. So it'd either be Tristana or Lucian, one of the two. And because it's Xiaohu, it's the Lucian. So BLG either way, they leave last pick to mid lane. They go towards the Rel because it's one of the best remaining champions with the Ziggs. You don't have the, well, I mean, it's probably just the best champion with Ziggs anyway. So you have Ziggs Rel, which is completely fine. On has typically been okay in this champion, even though it's not great at this tournament. The Lucian does get locked in, and then it's Elise. Now, this is the pick I don't get. I don't get what you're doing with the Elise here. I mean, what does this change? It's good at tower diving early. Elise has always been a good tower diver. Maybe that allows you to play out lane swaps differently. I don't really see the Elise. What else could you have gone here? If you want to put that Maokai top lane. I mean, Maokai is, I know, and Breed's playing well, and I you know, I'm not saying it's completely an issue, but it just feels really weird to me. It just feels really weird. So, the Elise comes in. Early game powerhouse, can push people around, can leverage off of, I guess, okay, I guess what maybe you're hoping for is the Kalista Renata win lane really hard, and you're hoping that the Lucian can give you early lane push as well, and then the Elise can play off of multiple winning lanes, invade, and maybe get some good value down of invading and getting some early pressure or camp steals or something like that. Even then, Skarner is very hard to kill, even in early game. And then, of course, we get the last pick Syndra coming through. Now, I really like this last pick Syndra. Yes, Bogwan. Yes, that's something that we said earlier. Because of the brand ban here, it telegraphs that they know that the Maokai is not going jungle. You don't ban a brand jungle because the Renata's in there. Renata cannot be flexed away from support. It can't be a brand support or something random like that. They knew that the Maokai was going top lane and that they think they were going to pick a different jungle. If this was a brand, does that change anything? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, brand's pretty good at burning down the front line. It's what they did in that last game. And the Maokai gives them more significant engage to play around it. Okay, so that's one thing. And then the Syndra comes back in last pick. Knight is one of maybe even the best Syndra of all time. Maybe. He is an incredible Syndra player. Syndra is a decent lane matchup. It's a skill matchup into Lucian because obviously Lucian can hop over your skills, but you have a lot of damage. If you hit him, then he feels really, really bad. Also against this team as well, if you hide behind the Skarner as Syndra, you know, much like our diagram before, and then you manage to QR ult Maokai or something like that, and then kind of get your scatter shot stunned through the backline, the rest of the team hates that. If you manage to hit, well, if you just target Lucian or Kalista with Syndra, it's really, really nasty. Because one of the problems is, and I'll just do, I guess, a little bit different. I could do it, another diagram, I guess. As Maokai starts ulting forwards, right? As everyone starts going forwards with that, you also have the AD carries wanting to move anywhere in this kind of arc, right? They want to start moving towards the play. Because they're doing that, what happens if Syndra immediately turns around and aims at you? Just singles you out and picks you up there. Because you have telegraphed your movement, because you're following the Maokai ult, Syndra gets really easy stuns. If you telegraph your engage with Renata and Maokai and Syndra just manages to say, alright, you're heading towards me, blam. You have two options. You either flash or dash backwards most of the time, or you get hit and you die. I think Syndra's really good against this if you are not the one getting caught in the engage. I'm trying to think of it. I'd even prefer something like a Jarvan actually in this comp. Maybe not. Nah, Jarvan's kind of shit versus Skarner. Yeah, Syndra actually loves this composition. There's not enough backline access. Syndra is very good against Kalista and Lucian. They don't outrange her. The only thing which outranges you really is the culling from Lucian, and that might not be good enough. You need to compensate AP damage. But Elise isn't a good enough solo carry. Elise is not a good enough solo carry. What else could you go here? You could have. You could go something like Zyra, I guess. Zyra's not awesome here though. You could have, Zyra, Karthus as the two other AP carries. Lilia is not great. Lilia doesn't really like playing into Skarner Jax and Rel. They're too much instant engage. Unironically, Shyvana would have been great here if Tarzan was a Shyvana player. Shyvana would have been very good, I think. I guess you're worse at the early game dives, but I think it's much better for the team comp later. You're very good against Ziggs, so you just ult onto him and you can't really escape. Pretty good at diving onto Syndra too. Should have picked Gragas for top lane. Maokai mid, Gragas top. Yeah, I vibe with that. Yeah, that's a good quality. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Gragas top Maokai jungle would have been fine. So yeah, anyway, Weibo now have themselves an Elise in a draft, which is not great for Elise. Syndra has always been good into Elise as well, because your stun slightly outranges hers. Also, one thing which I will point out in this game as well, I really like what Knight builds. He ends up going a couple of move speed items, and Syndra going towards move speed items. I know that sometimes you go towards the Ludens, it's more typically your first item. Against this comp with Weibo, which struggle to have hard lockdown onto you, getting move speed items so you can outrun engages and stuff like that is really, really potent. So I think that's a really good call. I think it's a really, really good call from them. Let me just make sure this is over here. Here, there. Rumble is balanced, Jax? Eh. Yeah, it's okay. Like, yeah. If you are a better player, you can make it work. Put it that way. Okay, right, let's get into this. So, do we have any runes which are worth talking about? Scorch, Mana Flow, Airy, that. This is a nice thing too. Sometimes you go for Comet or First Strike on Syndra. This is very good lane dominance runes for against something that skips out of your Comet. If something dashes and doesn't get hit by your Comet, may as well go for the Airy instead. And then you have Scorch as well, so you have good lane presence. Cosmic Insight means that you get cooldown reduction on Storm Surge, actually, because it gives you item haste. And then also it gives you extra flashes and stuff like that too, which is kind of fun. Anything here? Absorb Life, Absorb Life. Yeah, that's fine. No Shield Bash for Breathe. Huh. I mean, it gives you some tower taking potential, which Maokai normally sucks at. But Shield Bash Fimbulwinter on Maokai top lane is fucking nice. I like Shield Bash on Maokai, especially if you go Fimbulwinter. Also, if you go Cosmic Insight, it does actually give you some cool on tier stacks as well, which is kind of nice. Anything else here that's worth talking about? Shield Bash on, which makes some sense because it gives you some value on your W. Hex Flash as well. Sudden Impact for Elise does affect you on your Spiderling Q, your Spider Form Q. Relentless Hunt is nice as well. War Talking is nice. Anything else? Nah. It's fine. Okay, let's get into it. Someone said the enemy team would want to lane swap. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if you went for the Gragas, you'd be fine with that, I think. Maokai into... Yeah, that would have been okay. So now, Weibo... I will say, Weibo have been probably the best level 1 team across the entire LPL teams of... What did you say about the CDR run? Knight didn't go Jack of all trades, no. He also, however... I'm kind of surprised he didn't go towards boots, you know, but I guess it does allow him, because Knight, okay, so this is the thing, sometimes you don't go sometimes you don't go free ass boots on Syndra and some of the mages because you really want boots 2 first. In this game, if you get boots 2 first, you're really, really happy. I can't even remember when he buys them, actually. Yeah, but he doesn't go Jack of all trades, which is something. He goes for Cosmic Insight instead, which gives you some item haste. I think it's okay in this game. I do really like... hang on. I'll just talk about this one more time. Syndra, a lot of Syndra mains have been playing Jack of all trades, which gives you 2 extra cooldown reduction at... 2 extra ability haste at level 1 if you get Doran's Ring, so it gives you 2 stats, gives you AP and it gives you HP. And then you also go for the cooldown reduction Shard, which gives you an extra 8 ability haste. So then you basically get an extra 10 ability haste at level 1, which means that a lot of people will think that you don't have your next Q up, and you do. You have less attack speed that way, but Syndra's very happy to just get some more Qs and WQ cooldown, stuff like that. She's happy dropping a bit of attack speed for that. It's very important you're level 1, and so, because your level 1 kind of... It's not been as nice as it was in previous seasons. They've really nerfed her early lane. She's not as much of a lane bully as she was. But yeah, you are right, then he didn't go towards the Jack of all trades. So we do actually get... early invade. Oh yeah, this goes fucking weird. There are some weird fights in this game. So triple Q. L gets himself Comet, gets himself a Mana Flow, gets himself some extra HP off of them as well. Knight puts a ward over the wall. Q's onto Breathe. Gets rid of the... Does he get the Guardian? Hang on, is that Guardian out as well then at that point? No, it's the E. It's the E from Crisp. He doesn't actually get his Guardian. Elk's getting through a decent amount of cooldowns. Xiaohu, he walks up and discovers Ons there, has to start E, dashes back. What is Light doing? Oh, this is such a bad scout at level 1. He doesn't even put the ward down. Oh, Light. Jeez. You know, I'm going to have to slow this down just because there's so much stuff happening. So trying to get the level 2... If you get level 2 on Tarzan, you're fairly happy. But then again, you still really want level 3. Shun gets the smite. That is very, very bad for them. Light cleanse flashes. Knight is briefly left on his own, but he flashes out of range. First blood goes to Knight. That is horrifying for Weibo because Syndra, who is fed, is very dangerous in this game. Breed takes an extra bit of damage. What did he start? Did we see what he started? Q probably, right? He ends up taking a load of damage. The mount up comes onto Xiaohu. What is Xiaohu doing here? So he gets his E up, and then he disrespects the mount up. Gets hit by a Q. Flashes out. Knight doesn't get any splinters, but he does get a bunch of mana flow band stacks, which is actually very important for Syndra. Minions are going to die at level 1, so Xiaohu's going to miss out on some XP. This is so messed up for Xiaohu's mid lane now. First blood over to Syndra. Knight gets to keep his teleport for a little bit as well, so he can get some XP on the first wave. Crisp stays mid. Let's just get out of this replay. I don't want to see what happens in the replay. Show me what's happening next. I hate replays coming up like this. This is so important to see what's happening with early lanes. Show me what's happening with lanes. Don't show me the replay. Jesus. Like, so Tarzan's now gone into the enemy jungle. He's gotten 2 camps. So he got red buff raptors, came back in towards the enemy jungle. Knight's popped a pot from those from level 1. But yeah, Knight just wants to get himself a decent early back, teleport back in because Xiaohu can't. Knight also has some stat. Well, he got an extra splinter from somewhere as well. He would have got it from the early lane. Bin's now at level 1. God damn it, don't show me replays like this. So now it's actually Elk that's teleporting in and not Knight. So Knight is okay to not teleport in here. Bin has level 2, gets himself cannon. And Tarzan, oh my god, Tarzan has repel, but he has to use the repel not to reset aggro, but to just like get absolutely shit on. Breathe also has a tower reset aggro as well. Light ends up taking it first, then Breathe takes it. Another tower shot comes through. On gets the kill there, another kill back. Fucking hell. If Weibo wanted to play this comp to do tower dives with Maokai and Elise being able to switch aggro, that's not how you do it. So they get caught out by the teleport coming in from Elk. Knight, where's Knight gonna go? So Knight gets an extra wave pushed up there. Wait, did Xiaohu come over to this play? Xiaohu dipped bot side for this play as well. So waves get cleared out. The wave gets cleared out. What happens with Knight? Knight cancels his recall knowing that there's a huge play coming in bot side. He clears out another wave. So his first base of the game comes on about, well, 25 CS. Gets to back up towards Shen's side of the lane. Knight is so happy with this early game, by the way. And yeah, Syndra getting fed in this game is disgusting. No one can tank the Syndra combo, and the stuns are really, really nasty. Really, really nasty. Okay, so we get a back coming in, and yeah, this is really important, folks. This is really important. Move speed first item, the Aether Wisp coming in from Aether Wisp coming in from Knights. Now, this means you're going Storm Surge first. I think this is really nice because, as we said, when people start walking at you or the Maokai out starts coming up, if you go towards Storm Surge and then into something like, and you have tier 2 boots, you get enough move speed to walk out in most plays, which is really nice. Also, if you go something like Cosmic Drive, cooldown boots, and Storm Surge, you have a load of movement speed, and also you have a bunch of cooldown reduction. Cosmic Drive, if you get a combo landed, gives you an extra bunch of movement speed as well. And it means that at that point, this is another thing too. So Elise, one of the main things that Elise does is just walk at you with tier 2 boots early. If you do that, you are very, very happy. Yeah, if you do that, you are very, very threatening because if you out move speed people, then... Xiaohu, buddy. This is not your series, is it? This is not your series. But yeah, Elise needs to out move speed you to have threat onto you. Same kind of thing with Ari. Ari likes this as well. It's why so many mages go to boots 2 first, especially if they're less mobile in terms of dash forward and stuff. So Xiaohu's trying to push in the wave so he's not frozen out, because Knight can freeze the wave here, especially with WQ to trim the wave. So Xiaohu comes in. He doesn't have flash. I mean, he's kind of screwed either way, actually. He doesn't have flash. But his wave positioning is just really poor. I pointed this out in quarterfinals, by the way. Basically, you had Chovy and Knight both doing this mid lane freeze where like someone has to walk up to break the freeze. Like most people think of freezes in top wave or bot wave because they're longer lanes. It happens in mid lane too. Xiaohu walks up. Yes, he has the XP advantage, but he doesn't have vision. He can't walk up like this, and he dies for trying to clear out the wave. And now he ends up dying as well. Splinter goes over to Knight. Assist goes over to Knight. Kill goes over to Shin. This is just nasty as hell. So yeah, Knight walks away with some extra gold. Knight is so scary now. He is so scary. But all of this comes from the fact that Knight gets really good wave control again. We talked about this in our previous VOD reviews of Knight, so this isn't just coming out of nowhere. I'm not glazing him for nothing. And as we said, folks, tier 2 boots. Tier 2 boots. So Aetherwisp gives you 5% move speed, and then you also get 45 move speed or whatever it is from tier 2 boots, something like that. 45, is it? Yeah, I think it is. So yeah, he's really happy now, and there's no one with even, you know, there's a boots 1 on Lucian, and that's the only move speed on the other side. So Knight is now at a position where he can position around fights very aggressively. He can walk forwards and out move speed you, threatening longer range stuns than you potentially have considered before, and also he can run away from plays too very effectively. He also has level 6 now as well, so he's very happy. He's also getting towards the point where he'll get his first splinter upgrade as well at 40 splinters, which is really nasty, because that's when you get your double stack of Qs. So now, once again, bad terrain for the immobile Syndra and the Ziggs. They don't really want to be in this position, so they walk up, but they're not like hugely attached to this, I don't think. Chris flashes forwards, Shun flashes away from the handshake, which I think makes sense, because you do also have the cocoon follow-up as well. Shahu has 6. This is much better terrain for Weibo. Look how they're just forcing BLG into this huge clump here. If Shahu gets a Q through that, he's very happy. Breathe, of course, is on the Marco as well, which is kind of nice. Good cocoon. Flash him from Breathe. Q knockback. That's an insane knockback. Breathe gets a huge amount of value here. So he sees the angle, goes on to Knight. Knight is trying to get himself a defensive stun onto someone. So Knight does have a lot of move speed, but he is kind of getting minion blocked by his own teammates and by Breathe there. Good stun away. Good discipline of Knight not to flash here, by the way. So he gets a ton of damage onto Breathe. Breathe does not expect that at all. Somehow Crisp gets him Rain for Guardian. And then Knight flashes over. That's really good discipline of Knight. If he flashes early, he probably dies there, actually. Oh, that's a blind... Hang on, is that a blind cocoon onto Elk? I think that is. That's a blind cocoon onto Elk. Awesome stuff. And then it's just a Q from Callista, a W over the wall from Lucian. That's an awesome cocoon from Tarzan. Knight walks out. Well, hang on. Knight's now in danger because of the potential of diving under turret. You also have Bailout as well coming back up for Crisp, I think. Well, it's quite a long cooldown, so maybe not. But Knight keeps the wave away from turret. Tarzan walks up here, spots Shun. This is kind of a mistake from Weibo. I think you want to go onto Knight rather than you want to go onto Shun here. Shun is very tanky. They don't manage to fully close the distance onto him as well. I mean, maybe Shahu could flash forward. I don't think that means that much. Knight ends up getting another splinter out of that as well. And they don't manage to get Knight or Shun. Sometimes Weibo do this, by the way. Their kind of mid-team fight comprehension can be a bit meh, but they don't realize exactly what they need to do in the heat of battle, really. So BLG walk away, giving up grubs, giving up a kill as well. Wait, was that a kill or 2 kills? How many kills did they give over? 2. It was 2. Yeah, Bin dies as well. Okay. However, yeah, that was really well played from Breathe. That triple Q knockback was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane from him. I think Breathe has been excellent. I think a lot of people have... I've defended Breathe a lot this year. I'm happy to see him have a good world. No, regionally he wasn't like the best player ever, but Breathe was good. Very surprised that this top lane matchup didn't become about carry versus carry, jack of all trades versus that. Breathe opting into tanks and getting value out of it was not what I foresaw, but it worked out really well for Weibo in terms of that matchup anyway, comparative. I think on the whole, Breathe was actually a better player than Bin. Shadow dashes forwards, doesn't get a... Well, he does get good damage onto Elk. Manages to split them backwards. So, you've given over grubs to Weibo. You still have Knight in a really good spot. Dragon stacking from BLG. At least Jax doesn't get himself multiple grubs, or Ziggs as well. Ziggs, if you ever get access to multiple grubs, is really powerful. So, poor vision control for helping Elk out, but also... Yeah, what is happening here, actually? Oh, that's a bad miss. Does it matter, though? Don't think it does. Rend? Yeah. Nice. By the way, could Tarzan have gone Karthus in this game or not? Karthus kind of... Well, I don't think Karthus and Zyra are very good versus Skarner. They're too immobile. He just runs into them and kills them. Shahu dies again in mid lane. This time it's Bin who just... Hang on, he just loses vision again. So there are 2 lanes across the map which just like don't have good enough vision, and Xiaohu dies with flash up. Flash wasn't expended from Shun or Bin as well, just ult from Shun hits him. God, Xiaohu's just been completely uprooted root and stem, you know. Can you dive this as well? Presumably you have bailout. Yeah, so Light gets a couple of kills. The Callista gets a bunch of gold from this. Elk is behind. On has been struggling for most of this game. So, top side versus bottom side lead, I guess. Xiaohu teleports back into mid lane, but he's, yeah, can't even get, he's losing a lot here, man. Breathe can't really walk up towards Knight. Knight is just trying to farm splinters off him if he can. Knight has his first splinter upgrade as well, so he's pretty happy with that. Elk gets teleported away on. This is good. This is good. This is good lane assignment actually, because we just saw that Maokai was kind of getting pushed in by Knights. So we get the recall from bot lane after the double kills from there. Breathe ends up going back into that lane, and on his way back gets a kill onto Elk as well. He has teleport. He will be back out onto the map, but it's a good amount of extra gold. Also secures themselves not awful lane assignments as well. I want to see if they can get... Does Maokai into Jax even work for him that well? Are they okay with Maokai just soaking farm? Shun walks up, gets the ult out of Chris, that's fine. Yeah, you can see that Weibo are trying to like mess around with lane assignments. And as they can, you know, as they're doing that, they're trying to use their point and click CC to get good value out of that. Because, you know, they're getting some extra plates out of this, get a bunch of extra kills. The only person who's really getting away with this with a load of stuff from BLG is Knight. And Knight is now getting himself up towards Storm Surge. He is feeling very happy about life. You know, there's not exactly any magic resist up on Weibo yet. There will be at some point. But, yeah. So BLG choose their own time now to fix their lane assignments. They walk up and they just put a fuck ton of damage into Breathe, stop him from using his passive by perma-CCing him. Sharing the gold on plates though, not awesome, but hey. Knight ends up teleporting for that. You give up 6 grubs, but do you get first turret? If you get first turret, it's okay. No, you don't get first turret. So this is still good for Weibo. Callista's getting really strong. I will say Callista does not really want to play into Syndra. Syndra is also very, very strong at this point. Storm Surge means, yeah, you will get point and click one shot potentially. There's just so little threat onto Syndra, especially once you get these move speed items. If you go Ludens, there's a chance of you mispositioning and getting run down. I think when you have the extra move speed from Storm Surge and then your tier 2 boots early, you are very, very happy. Also with Cosmic, as we said with Cosmic Insight as the rune, you actually get some cooldown on your Storm Surge as well if you're going for that first time. Works with Ludens as well, technically. Well, not technically, just does. Yeah, well. So, BLG, use the Ziggs to fast push that out, but they are against 6 grubs and the Callista. This is going to be nucleated gold again. Well, no, it's going to be split gold again, rather. Elk gets himself tier 2 boots, full burst. Dragon goes over as well. Weibo are getting more out of the map. They are getting more out of the map. The 6 grubs really help them. I will say that BLG don't exactly have much option to contest them right now. Ugh, runny nose. Tarzan gets Leandries, so it's a Leandries. Leandries at least instead of a full burst one. I guess he wants to be cocooning the front line and getting value out of that then, rather than trying to catch out a cap. Sorry, bit of a snotty nose. Ice Coke, by the way, sorry, I didn't notice your follow a little while ago. Hope you do. Thanks for joining the channel. Sorry about that. I hope that snot noise didn't make its way too much into the microphone. Okay, so Elk is quite far behind, but he still does have Ludens and Boots, so he can help clear up some kills. And most importantly, he can wave clear fine. That's the most important thing. You have Knight and Elk who can wave clear for fucking forever now. Bin is getting a decent amount of gold. You can see that the tears coming from Breed, so he's going to get Fimbulwinter at some point. I think... Do you need Shield Bash? I mean, Shield Bash would have been really nice. You actually can potentially kill the backline with that. It's an absurdly strong item. Rune, rather. Dragon's coming up in a bit. Even though the Callista is really strong, I do think now with first item on Elk, tier 2 on his ult as well, it's much harder to get much value out of him. Knight's also wave clearing in bot lane, but just between Ziggs and Syndra wave clear, it's very hard for you to use this Callista. You need to force a fight away from waves. You need to force in a way where BLG just can't sit and wave clear. And weirdly, it's actually BLG which pull this play first. Because now you're getting a teleport out of Knight. Now, you have to notice that Ziggs could have teleported himself. They choose not to. Knight ends up getting, you know, a disengaged play there. So it's teleport out of both mid laners. Now, BLG do have an extra teleport to bring the back, because they have one on Ziggs as well, but I still think that was maybe a little bit overzealous. I suppose Knight isn't a good point of power. You can see that he's also going towards Cosmic Drive as well, so extra move speed, an extra 5% from Ether Wisp is really nice. And then also, once you have that built up, if you hit 3 spells, if you basically get a full combo, you're only getting a bunch of move speed. Actually, let me just check real quick. I gotta go check something. Let me just see this. Cosmic Drive. How much move speed is it? So it gives you 4% move speed. Wait, how much does Ether Wisp give then? Move speed, oh, it's 4%. I've said 5%. I'm bad. You get 20 move speed per stack. Wait, I thought it gave you a full. Hang on a second. Cosmic Drive. 4%. Dealing magic or true damage to an enemy champion grants you 20 move speed for 4 seconds. Does this stack at all, or is it just the one? Well, whatever. It's still an amount of move speed, which is fine. It used to be the 3 stacks. Well, whatever. It's changed a little bit, then I misunderstood that, but that's fine. 20 move speed, and then the extra bonus move speed as well of an extra, you know, 4% from both those items. The extra 8% move speed, 20 flat move speed on top of that just means that you're very hard to get a hold of. Especially without, you know, Lucian's not in an era of having Gale Force and stuff like that now. You do get, obviously, move speed from Kraken Slayer, which gives you, what, 7%? 7% move speed, I think. But I think that move speed is one of those stats where it's very, very important if you manage to get enough of it to create a significant move speed differential. Dragon coming up in a minute. BLG have, again, really good wave clear. Elk has tier 2 ult, just push that out. Now, he won't have ult for Dragon now, but it's not like Weibo going to Soul Point. You don't want to allow that 6 grub Shahu, not Shahu, 6 grub Callista anywhere near to your turrets. Secure the blue buff using the Syndra W. Fun. Get it onto Knight, which is completely fine. As long as one of Knight or Elk has a blue buff alongside Shin, I think they're completely happy with that, because one of them is going to just be perma wave clearing with that one. You probably prefer it to be on Ziggs, but hey. Oh, on, buddy. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, he has Merc Treads, but I mean, if he hits him here, if he does hit him here, he does die probably, because I think that Knight immediately hits him with a stun afterwards, and then he dies. Even with Elk not having his ult, I think you kill that just because Syndra is quite strong at this point in the game. Maokai comes in to siege this. You have 6 grubs. This is why it was quite important for Elk to have. This is why it's quite important for Elk to use his ult in the last wave. No chip damage has come onto the turrets. The hell comes in. A little bit of damage comes in. No one sticks around for auto attacks on the turret, sadly, for Weibo. Why don't you think Scout Tarzan worked? I think they did. And they worked very, very well on LNG. If you look back to 2023, they were incredible. I think Tarzan just bombed out on a mental level. And then, oh, that's a good combo from Knight. But also, why is Light walking up into the... I mean, why is he walking up like that? Has to flash out. Yeah, I much prefer Light on Ezreal or Ashe. He's really, really struggling to... He will struggle in this game to get the better of Knight. Knight has so much cooldown reduction. I was having a think about this earlier in the game, actually. I was wondering whether it would be, because this is such a squishy team coming in from Weibo besides the Maokai, would it have been better to go towards full burst on Syndra? But then I think you have to think about it like this. You have gone for a very cooldown heavy build from Syndra. Now, it's not like you don't have damage. But then basically you need to think of it like this. Because it's such a mobile team as well. If you miss your stun as Syndra, you are going to get potentially, you know, walked at by Elise or flashed at. You have, you know, dashes coming forward from Callista and Lucian. You have stuff like that. I think it is more important to have your second combo to threaten rather than having one very instant kill combo. Because if that kill combo gets, you know, the stun, if that gets flashed over, you die. If you hit a combo even with a high cooldown reduction build, you're pretty happy as Syndra in this game because everyone's very, very squishy. I think when you're against high mobility teams as Syndra, I think it's probably worth just to go higher cooldown reduction in this kind of game anyway. You have enough damage elsewhere too. You know, Bin is going to provide a good amount of damage from top lane. If you had like a higher tank but lower damage champion in top lane, maybe you would go for more DPS on Knight. It's not like you're losing like a huge amount of... You're still doing a good amount of damage. So it's not like the worst. Yeah, I think it would still be okay to go with this kind of build even if you had that. And now Knight has Cosmic Drive. So now he has a bunch of cooldown reduction. His full combo is going to be in... You know, his E is going to be up every like 8 seconds or something like that instead of every 10 to 12, something like that anyway. Yeah, his E right now is on a 10... Oh, it's on an 11-second cooldown. Just about that. Maybe just above 10. But yeah, his full combo is going to be much quicker than it would be elsewhere. And then, as we see in this point too, yes, there are Merc Treads and Xiao, who sadly does not help you versus suppression. So Shun just completely guns him down, gets heart steeled as well. How much damage does Skarner do there? What the fuck? Hang on a second. So Xiao is on, you know, like 1800 health or so, maybe 1600? Call it 1600. He loses like 700. Oh my god, he gets like, yeah, he gets obliterated. Jesus. Slightly missed cast Q there, but the Storm Surge would have finished him off. So Knight gets a Dark Steel stack. Shun gets even more fed, and he gets himself his first Heart Steel stack of the game. Xiao Hu has had an absolute nightmare first couple of games, man. Misjudging where he is on the map, disconnected from his team, much like the Shy last year, really, where he was just very disconnected from the rest of his team. A lot of people remember the Shy carrying versus BLG in that semifinals, and that was very good, but also don't forget his finals either, where he went, what, 0.375 KDA in finals, worst KDA in a finals ever for a single player, because he was very disconnected from his team. You know, the Xiao Hu has had, he is the heir to the Shy in this particular one. Good recall stop there from Elk. No, Dragon's up in a minute. He'll have his ult back because he has enough cooldown reduction. And he's just got really good control of wave now. If the Renata's not there, it makes it much harder. And he also manages to get himself the tower as well. That's really big. That's really, really big. Because now that means that with a minute until Dragon, Elk can recall, he can teleport back. He is very, very happy, comparative to how the rest of the game's been going. He is 1.5k behind, but he is very, very happy now. Oh yeah, no, yeah. We will definitely have a talk about Xiao Hu's Dragonfight play when it comes up to it. Also worth noting as well, Knight does know there's a bit of, obviously, a little bit of magic resist coming in now between Hex Drinkers and Merc Treads across the board, going towards Void, a Blighting Jewel item. I think Crypt Bloom adds towards his cooldown reduction, and it just means that, again, his combo is going to end up getting towards 8 seconds instead of 10, 12, as we were saying before. Maybe even slightly less than that. Once you get towards really late game and you get a bunch of ranks in your E, because you max it last now, is very, very nasty. Even just landing the W for the slow on Lucian and Callista is really, really nice. You don't always need your E all the time. This is really nice from Elk as well. He already has the mid lane turret down, but he's just not taking any chances with this mid lane wave. There are 6 grubs on the other side. There is no point playing stupid with the waves here. Never let that wave get close to turret, because if Breathe ults over the wall, it means that a couple of autos would kill this turret. I think that's good. Wait, what happened? Hang on, what are you linking to me? What are you linking towards me? Let me just see. Oh, is it Crisp crying? Okay. We'll get towards that later. Rip. Okay, so Knight is... okay, so... BLG choose not to contest the Dragon again. They give Soul Point over to Weibo. They go up towards Baron instead. Teleport comes in. Immediate... Hang on, how quickly does that teleport come out? So they have a ward... this is clever, because you can see that there are 2 wards here. There's actually a ward scouting out the other one. Breed's coming in. He has his ult. Now, Knight does make a bit of a mistake here. He shouldn't be teleporting all the way back to the Nexus. If he teleports back towards inner turret, he can make his way back to a fight much quicker, but it's a quick reaction time. He doesn't want to get caught out at all, which makes a lot of sense. If he'd done that much later, he would have been in trouble. Shun flashes out as well. However, because Knight is teleported so far away from the play, he is not going to be hit that quickly. He does have a lot of move speed with this build, but you can see that, you know, he teleports out very quickly, but not to the right location. So that does add them into a bit of a problem. Elk doesn't have ult just yet. However, really big clump. Maokai goes in the wrong direction for most of this play. Bin gets into a big clump. Elk gets to get a load of AoE as well. Knight ends up flashing over. Right, let's go right back to the start, essentially. Well, back to here. So, the Maokai ult tries to stop Shun getting into the play. Crisp is there too. Where does Crisp's ult go? He doesn't have his ult just up yet. Bin gets into the play, gets onto Xiao Hu, who can't do that much damage towards him. Elk gets his ult onto Light and Breathe. Crisp is still up. Who does Knight combo here? Does he try and get Tarzan here? Oh, I mean, that's a really nice W. He actually gets the W timing onto Tarzan. That's quite hard to get. Gets the Q ult onto Crisp. Does he get the stun through? Yeah, he does. Gets one. Gets an auto on though. What happens to the other side of the play? What happens to Xiaohu here? Wait, I'm still Light. Oh, Light gets the bailout. So he gets bonked. Skarner ult comes through. Light gets the bailout just as it comes through. Shun smashes his head in with a Heartsteel proc. Also gets on Xiaohu as well. Shun goes down. I want to see how much move speed Knight gets after this as well. He's actually really fast at this point. He can't chase down. So it's going to be 3 for 2, but also Baron as well. So now the question is, what do Weibo do with the map state of the Baron? Lots of low health bars from BLG. And you get a teleport back in. You have 2 items on Lucian Yaz. Merc Dreads, he has this. He can flash over the first stun. He walks into the mount up, the one thing you can't flash. Stunned, 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 dead. The one thing you can't get hit by is the fucking mount up, man. This is really good turnaround from On, but the one thing you can't flash out of is the goddamn mount up. Gets the mount up, he flashes away, it's too late. Gets hit by the full stun from Syndra, and Jesus Christ. Well, folks, that's how you fuck up a Lucian flank. Nice. Yeah, he... Let's have a look at his pathing. There's no flash on. No, don't dash it on. No, no, no. Dash at Knight, if anything. If you kill Knight, then he'll... Look, what you should do is you dash at Knight. If he summons a Q, you flash over the Q, and you just get your double tap Q, and you kill him. And then you should be able to run the other 2 down. Going towards Rel is such a huge mistake. No, you can kill all of them there. You can absolutely kill all of them, but you go towards Knight first. He is the fed person there. That is such a ridiculous mistake from Xiaohu. You just go towards Knight. You do not dump damage into On. You do not dump damage into On. Why dash here? Why? Dash up here. If you see the Q, you flash beyond it and you kill. Even if you get hit by an E at that point, it's not a stun E. Because it would only shove you back. And at that point, you probably still kill just with a W and everything. You probably just kill with a double tap auto here, by the way. There's no armor on Knight. There's, what, a tiny bit of HP, but it doesn't matter. You would absolutely kill there. Essence Reaver Kraken Slayer, you'd absolutely kill. Yeah, I think Knight is predicting the right play, but what Xiaohu should still be able to outplay this. If he dashes forward and then he flashes beyond, because he does have flash, he kills here. You know, On, even if he mounts up, will not be able to get there in time without having flash. He does not have flash, he doesn't have ignite. I mean, there is a chance that Elk flash W's you, but even then, he won't be able to... The W particle time, the projectile time, will still be too long. You would still watch Knight die, and then he'd probably be able to turn around and kill you. Instead, he goes right towards On. On without flash says, oh, yippee, and kills the fuck out of him. Look how much damage his one auto does here, by the way. Look, so he's on, what, 400 HP? He kills him in, like, one auto. Or is it a Q? I don't know, whatever. He absolutely obliterates him. Like, Xiaohu just chooses completely the wrong target and just ints away one of the remaining Baron buffs. That is ridiculously poor from Xiaohu. But you should just be able to E towards Syndra, flash over the Q and kill him. Even if you get hit by an E, you live. You're not going to get stunned by that because he's only got time to put 1 Q down. You won't have time for a second one. Damn, that sucked from Lucian. That sucked from Xiaohu. Oh, God. Oh, man. Look, I've tried to defend Xiaohu a lot, but this is not it. Okay, so now we get something in picture-in-picture again, because these replays have been really poorly timed. Jesus. So Light gets hit with a Heartsteel, gets dragged into the everything. On gets to clump him up in front of everyone here. You don't get the kill onto On. Crypt Balloon comes through, even more cooldown reduction. Knight has his Cosmic Drive, and he has a bunch of movement speed. Look how quick he is. Like, he can outrun everyone here. And look how quick his second stun is as well. Actually, it's not actually that quick. That's a bit different. But, like, look how much damage Elk and Knight are putting in together. So Breed's coming out on the side. Bin delays him a little bit. On tanks it. I wonder if that's a bit of a mistake, tanking that. I think, actually, he can just walk back and not tank that. Because he kind of dies for free. Breathe almost gets Shun as well. But look how quick Knight is. He just walks... God damn, it's a fast Syndra. You can't escape fights when the Syndra's in it now, though. Syndra just runs you down for a second play. He has a 10-stack Magi's, Dark Seal, rather. Infinite cooldown reduction. Getting E ranks as well. Shun does a bit of a weird thing here. He tanks a bunch of tower shots. Like, right there. Xiaohu almost kills him back. Man. Oh, yeah, by the way, Light should 100% go QSS. He ends up getting Skarner ulted. Your cleanse doesn't help you against that anyway. I think, look, Hexdrink is very good versus Syndra and Ziggs, don't get me wrong, but I think even against Syndra, you kind of want the QSS for the stun. Depends what your plan is. I don't know, man. Sucks. Oh, yeah, Xiaohu, like, 100% kind of saw the Doctor Strange angle, and he found the one way to lose the play instead of win. Okay, Knight gets hit by Sapling. Knight gets hit by Sapling, which means that... So this is now in the setup for Dragon. BLG won that fight just beforehand, managed to just control River. Weibo still haven't managed to get themselves onto mid lane out of turret. Elk has ult up, and he has a death cap now. Wait, what's the goal difference, actually? It's only 1,000? It's about the same as it has been the whole game, but Elk is so ridiculously strong anyway, even though he's behind in gold. Shun manages to hold everyone at the pass here. He doesn't have flash, so Shun might die. Really good ult from Elk just to force people away from Shun. No one can save Breathe now at this point. You're outside of W range from Knight. No, Breathe actually is just very tanky. No, actually Breathe gets away with a lot of this. And also the Marco Sapling actually gets a good amount of value. So Knight is not doing a huge amount of damage to Breathe comparative, because he doesn't have a Leandry, he doesn't have a death cap. He's still doing some damage, but it's not the most. So actually, Shun ends up walking away not having the best time. He's healing off of jungle camps. And then you find out what happens if you're not Maokai and you get hit by this stuff. So Storm Surge comes through. Crisp ends up losing most of his HP, and he uses the Redemption in a suboptimal place as well. The Fruit's pretty good. Shun heals up a bit on camps. He uses his shield so he doesn't take unnecessary damage from it as well. Getting team-wide blue buff. Really good minefield here, actually. Just the minefields here stop the AD carries just sitting and hitting the dragon. This is good from Elk. Yeah, it's okay if Breathe is sat on here, but the AD carries aren't damaging the dragon. And now you have Shun, who's actually on okay HP. And he's getting some healing from his jungle item. Good minefields again. And in fact, you know what? This is... This reminds me of a very special time in League history for me. This reminds me of 2020 spring, when this composition was all the rage. And one of my favorite teams in the world was Detonation Focus Me. 2020 spring, you had Seros, who only played 3 champions, really. Karma, Heimerdinger, and Ziggs. And then you had Syndra being played bot lane. And both these were super OP. So they would play like double area denial things. So you'd have like the Syndra balls angled in one way, and you'd have the minefield in another. You just can't step anywhere. It's basically the same thing which happens here. And they did a similar thing with like Heimerdinger as well instead of the Ziggs. But you just make so much of the battlefield just unplayable. Oh, look at this. So Tarzan's on the... Oh yeah, by the way, there's an Elise in this game. I've completely forgotten that Elise is here. Yeah, Elise is doing very little, folks. Ziggs ult comes in as well. Heal comes in, but it's still a triple ult. Gets a bunch of damage down. Everyone is within Night Flash ult distance now. Stun goes on to Breathe. He'd edge. And the Crypt Bloom comes through as well. Shun gets a bit of damage down. Not a great ult from Shun. This is actually not badly played from Light. He gets the play forwards. Tries to get himself... he should have... Crisp probably should have waited just a little bit longer. If he gets the knock up onto Elk, maybe it... Actually, no. No. I take that back. Actually, it gets enough... What happens to Shun? What happens to Xiaohu here? Xiaohu ends up getting some damage onto Shun. Walks into everything. Misses the minefield on the 4. Walks into it. Oh! Lucian! Let us see how much damage Xiaohu takes from his own positioning. So, let's look at the culprit at the bottom of our screen. Xiaohu walks into... What does he walk into? He walks into the bomb. Takes most of his HP. Misses most of his shots there. Walks into 1 minefield bomb. Walks into 2 minefield bomb. And then gets completely obliterated by the last ones which he walks into. Oh, Xiaohu. Oh, Xiaohu, that's poor. On the other side as well, like, Tarzan tries to go for, like, a kill combo onto Knight, who just completely just removes him from existence. Knight stands in the minefield, which is kind of fun. Stun into stun. Dedge. Is this draft effort or poor play? I think it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. I think the Syndra is so powerful here. And then everyone dies. You have a bunch of fed mages and a Ziggs that can push turrets. Knight has no HP, but you don't need HP when you're playing PvE in this one. So yeah, that was seriously well played from Knight. He positioned very well the entire game. Never out of position. I will say, I think there were some moments from On which weren't fantastic. Xiaohu, though, just had an absolute nightmare game. Absolute nightmare game from Xiaohu. I mean, that's not what you want to see in a World Semifinals, man. Jesus. Okay. Right. I'm going to go get myself another drink again. I just need to rest my brain very briefly. So, I'm going to put some ads on again. I think I can do that. I'm going to put some ads on again. I'll leave you just for a minute, folks. And then we'll get to the last game of the series. Okay, I'm reloaded. Okay, folks, shall we get back into this again? Yeah, Elise is a fun pick, but if you're not going to pull off early tower dives and snowball and then like get picks from out of Fog of War, the champion is just not what you want it to be. Not really. Okay, folks, let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. Into game 3. So, same sides again. And we get different bans this time. So BLG end up banning the... No, same bans from... No, it's a little bit different. So normally Rakan was banned too for Weibo. This time it's Callista. Because the Callista is banned... Wait, I mean, banning the Callista... Callista doesn't mean that much. I guess Callista is pretty good versus Ezreal, because Ezreal hates laning against a lot of very aggressive Callista. No, he doesn't even hate that. He's fine laning against that. Why would you ban the Callista? You must have a different first pick in mind. Oh no, I said, but hang on, Dip. Let me think about this again. So, you have the Aurora banned. Normally you ban out the Rakan. They ban the Rakan on 3 anyway. They've left the 2 OPs open again, so now we are trading OPs. Let me just go through the rest of the I'm just gonna go through the rest of the bans again. Weibo versus BLG. Game 1 bans. Game 1 was Yone pick. Game 2. Yone was banned. Game 3, yeah. So it was Yone was picked, then it was banned, and then they're opening up for the Yone first pick again. The Ashe is gone. I think that Yone Ashe is a really powerful combo. I think that BLG have shown that they're okay to let the Yone go through because Knight is diffing Xiaohu so fucking hard. But having Ashe being able to secure lane priority, because nothing really beats Ashe in lane right now. I think we've seen that. Ashe is very good in lane. And then also allows you to get unparalleled vision control with Hawkshot, and then also gets long-range ults, which then, you know, give you free ults for Yone in turn. As a Tarzan fan, I'm happy that he had a good tournament. He had an incredible tournament and an incredible summer. I think that Tarzan has been... It's been great to see him playing on this form. I love Tarzan as a player. He's fantastic. So they give over the Jack Scanner again. You can see that, you know, Shun is laughing his head off at this because they're just like, well, they gave us again. So then what do Weibo do at this point? They actually get an angle for the Gnar this time. Then they pick the Ezreal. And to be honest, I'm surprised that they didn't have Light on Ezreal at any game before this. Light's best champion is Ezreal. It has been his 1v9 champion. And they lock in the Maokai, flex between now apparently 3 lanes, because you can play at jungle, support, and in top lane too, because Breathe should. And Breathe played it well in top lane. And then the Kai'Sa comes through. So, Kai'Sa gives you some range options later into the game with W upgrade. It also allows you to go towards potentially an AD mid laner for Knight in second round, because Kai'Sa can provide you magic damage very effectively from the AD carry position because of the varying builds you can get. Now you ban out the Gnar. I mean, I feel like Weibo just had to get some more side lane. They needed to win side lane at some point. They really struggled to deal with, like, dithering around fights, not really finding a good engage, and then losing out positioning to Bin on sides. Or Knight as well. Knight and the Syndra was doing a similar thing. They were getting out wave cleared, out pushed in sides, and even though Weibo had good ideas of what they wanted to do around some fights, they just couldn't get enough pushing lanes, enough kind of, like, presence on the map. Brand comes through again because, you know, Maokai can be flexed around the map. Ahri and Smolder banned away, which are the two of the answers into the Yone in terms of a laning matchup. And we know that Xiaohu doesn't really get that much help in lane. He basically doesn't get help in lane. So they just want to make sure in isolation he'll be fine as a 1v1. And BLG lock in Akali. So, Akali's pretty good into Ezreal because Ezreal can't escape you if Akali gets R1 onto you. She's following you at that point, so you either have to kill her or you need to kill her at that point, basically, or you have someone bring out a bunch of good CC. So Akali is a good lane matchup into Yone. Your Q just about outranges Yone Q, and it's up more often at level 1. Your level 1 potential is really, really good. If you, however, miss, actually on both sides of this matchup, but particularly the Akali, if you miss one of your level 1 Qs, you feel kind of shit. It's a good melee versus melee matchup. Akali versus Yone is a good lane matchup. However, you are already into one really good Akali champion. The Maokai is insanely good into Akali. If that goes jungle, also very tanky as well. It's a huge dive comp from BLG. You know, they have 4 dash champions. By the way, this is insane, by the way. There are 4 dash champions here. Lock in, surely this is an Omega Poppy angle. Surely you lock in Poppy top lane or support, and you are completely happy with whatever happens after that point. They go towards the Rumble, because Rumble's really good. Actually, Rumble's pretty good versus a bunch of these comps too, because if you get locked into the play, that's insane. But where the hell is your Poppy? Come on, where is the Poppy? Lock in Poppy. Poppy is Omega in this draft. Now, 4 dash champions. And they go towards the melee synergy of Yone, Sejuani, and the Rumble instead. It's good for early game, and you are quite tanky. But at that, I mean, Poppy would have been so good here, man. Poppy would have been insane. It's one of the few things which can really, well, not few things. It's one of many things which just completely denies some of these champions in team fights as well. We saw how Breathe played out the Poppy last time. Now, you do get a bunch of good magic damage coming through from the Rumble. But surely that would have been insane here. So last pick goes towards On. You do have triple melee synergy for Sejuani. And they go towards the Alistar, which I think makes a load of sense. The Alistar can just stand in front of the Sejuani ult or the Mark ult, prop ult, and you're fine. Try and disrupt the engage. I think the Alistar is also one of On's best champs as well. It's kind of hidden some of his not great moments. I haven't checked YouTube chat in a while. Oh, there was a message deleted. Nice. Cool. I don't really moderate my YouTube chat. I just let the auto mod do all that because it's such a wild west a lot of the time. Okay, let me fix my camera. So, are we going to get any random level 1s again? Because this time, I don't think BLG have great level 1 champions. Akali's not a great level 1 champion in a 5v5 setting. Great in lane at level 1 against melees, but not really, yeah. Would have been a low damage comp with Poppy instead of Rumble now? Yes, but also, yeah. Which is why I'd prefer to have Poppy support instead of Maokai. But you've already locked in the Maokai, which just kind of feels shit. But also you could have gone Poppy jungle, and that would have been fine too. I guess you're less tanky that way, but I think even Poppy jungle would have been... Like, if this is HLE, they lock in Poppy jungle, and I think they feel very, very happy. Also would have completely cucked the Alistar too. But yeah, I think that Poppy into this comp would have been absolutely insane. There's 5 dash champions. Well, no, Skarner's... No, hang on. Skarner's not a dash champion. That's true. But, yeah. Career head-to-head of Knight versus Shahu. That's cool. I guess RNG still had, like, some really strong moments in 21 and 22. They won MSI. Well, they won MSI in both those years, yeah. So we get, hang on, let's go back. I was too busy like brain offing for a bit. So, what's the level 1 prep like from BLG again? So, Bin is hanging out in Tribrush. They don't have a great level 1 comp as we said, so they don't want to push up too aggressively. Also, Sejuani at level 1 does potentially give you some issues with melee synergies as well. I mean, you do tend to start, well, you can start E level 1 if you're taking single target camps, but as Sejuani, most of the time you go W. Alkanon hang back, make sure there's no way Vision spotted them. They clear out a ward. Knight spots the play going through, so they know that this is coming through. So Alkanon choose to match the lane swap. They choose to match the lane swap. Now, Kai'Sa Alistar is not a great level 1 combo. Light gets some good poke as he gets in towards lane as well, because they're not stood on the minion wave yet. Not standing on a minion wave means that you open yourself up for Q angles. Tarzan starts an enemy red buff. Shin starts an enemy bots. No, he goes his Raptors first, then goes over to enemy camps. You're a little bit faster to take your own camps than the enemy camps, of course, so it's a faster for camp 1. Now, one thing which does impact this is that if Tarzan did this in one of the other lane swaps as well, if you go into the... Well, if you have this kind of jungle start, and no, it's a little bit different from, I think it was game 1. You're not going to end up on topside for that long. You've now hit level 3. Because you take all topside camps. You're not really going to be on topside again. Which means that Ezreal and Maokai just have to do their own thing. You're not going to dive the Kai'Sa, Alistar. I guess you're going to keep poking them out. But that's kind of what they did with the Kalista game in game 1 as well. Hang on, this is a bit different. So Shen ends up going towards, what, 4 camps into dive bot. Huge crash wave. This is wave 3, right? Wave 3 comes in. Breed's only level 2. Overheats. Does get the kill onto Bin, but how much is he losing here? Because he's losing cannon. Loses a couple of minions on the turret as well. Yeah, so he does lose a bunch of XP. That's the big thing there. So as in most early games right now, top lane XP even when you get Australia lanes and you match the lane swap. I think top lane XP when dives come into the equation are really, really important. Okay, so he gets the kill here as well. Shun gets the kill. Bin gets the assist. I mean, Breed's getting closer towards Tabby. It's not bad. It's not bad for Breed on an immediate monetary expense, but he is going to lose a bit of XP to that, which is not awesome. Shouldn't got to go back towards his clear anyway. He has a Giant Spell. Giant Spell is very good as a first pack for Skarner. You feel so good with that because so much of your damage is HP scaling anyway. Wave's slow pushing back towards Bin. You can clip it if you want. Melee synergy's coming in. God, it's Skarner does so much fucking damage, base damage. Normally I consider Sejuani to be, incredibly high base damage jungler. Don't walk into early levels of the game, especially if she gets passive on you. She feels really good with that. Ignite comes through onto Crisp. Wait, did the heal come in? Did the heal come in before? I want to see what happens here. So yeah, I think the heal comes in after the ignite. I mean, the 2v2 is going well. Also, really nice Q from Ezreal. That actually does manage to slide it just beyond the minion wave. That was good from that. If On had just about misstepped, he would have got another Q on target, which would have been insane. Hey, Healer, good to see you. Shun is just sparring with Tarzan again. Mid lane's going well for Knight. He's keeping Xiaohu pushed in. We did say that the Akali early lane is pretty good versus Yone. By the way, Akali still hasn't won at this tournament yet, as of this game. As this game's being played, right? I think it's 0-5 or something like that in main stage, maybe 0-6. And, you know, Zek has played it. He's one of the better Akali players of all time. It's not like no one's played it. That's good. Yeah, up until today, Healer. Yeah. Okay. Bin has himself a null magic mantle, so he's not feeling awful about things. Gold is even. XP is actually quite even between top laners as well, so the early dive actually doesn't mean that much. Breather's in an okay spot. He's actually in an okay spot. Teleported back in, so he doesn't feel too bad. Bin didn't teleport back in. Well, there wasn't really anything for him to teleport back into. I can see that the AD carry matchup is going pretty favored towards Light. Light has teleport as well. Got himself an easy back. Teleports back in with laning items, and then goes back on his way. Knight just making sure that Chris has to play responsibly. Get one grub, you get two. You have smite still. Gets another one, you still have smite. Because it's Australia lanes, you tend to keep them topside for first grub spawn. After first grub spawn, things can get a little bit more dicey. Bin picks up a mid wave. Bot lane's being pushed in. No plates being put there. Breathe is... I don't really know what Breathe is doing. I'm not really sure why Breathe is moving up. He should be focusing on plates. I guess by moving up so far... No, he actually does make it in time for the fight. Still, it's a long play in advance. So it's all three grubs. What does Xiaohu do here? So, Shun saved his smite, gets that. Flashes out of that ult. Immediate headbutt, pull onto Crisp. He still gets himself aftershock, though. I like how Knight lands the E onto... I do actually like how a Knight plays this, by the way. Just immediately goes onto Xiaohu. It means that Xiaohu can't stick around for anything longer with an E or something like that. Actually, could he have gone onto Light? Might have been better for him to go onto Nut. Hang on, what happens here? So. Knight doesn't want to walk up towards Tarzan. He doesn't want to get, like, Akali past him. So he flashes out of that. That's fine. Does Light... Hang on, does Light still have E at this point? If Light still has E... let's just try this again. Does Light still have E? Because if he doesn't have E, I think he could be in a... I think that maybe Knight could have gone onto him instead. Yeah, he does. Okay, so Light's held onto his E for a long time. I think, yeah, you can't go onto Light there. It's the right choice to go onto Xiaohu. Means that he can't go any further in. Breathe still has his ult. That's a good dodge out of the Sejuani Q. By the way, I mean, this is quite obvious at this point if loads of people are losing on Akali. Akali is really hard to play right now. Your laning phase can be fine, but it's very hard to play at team fights. I think Knight does an okay-ish job there. He doesn't die, importantly. Does lose his flash and his ult, but whatever. So yeah. Wait, did anyone die in that fight? Oh, Crisp died. Wait, is that literally just a one for none? How the fuck does that work out? Huh? So they get Crisp. Kill goes over to Bin. Wait, not... yeah, it goes over to Bin. I mean, yeah, you're pretty fucking happy with that, going out with grubs down to kill. That should never have been there, 5, especially with Breathe roaming up towards that play. Imagine how bad you feel as Breathe, right? Breathe could have stayed bot lane while you disengage that, just give over the 3 grubs. You could have at least got plates down there. He walks up, doesn't find an angle to cast his ult at all, watches his lane opponent get a kill, which funds him 3 in towards Merc Treads and a Ruby Crystal, which means he's pretty happy with things. Nah, that feels pretty bad as Breathe, actually. Do you think Skarner B1 is real? Yeah, I think Skarner B1 is really good. It wasn't a Skarner B1 in this game anyway, though. I mean, Weibo weren't picking it, which is kind of weird. Okay. Trying to get the melee synergy. Q forwards. Don't really have enough damage, though. Tier 2 boots early, once again. Very, very nice. Good double lockup. But E comes through. Light's in a good spot. Light is actually in a very good spot. And then... poor Xiaohu has already gone forward, pushes in the wave. And he... Man, Xiaohu's lane management is just not communicated to his team at all. He has flash. Does he just die anyway? Oh, Jesus Christ, Xiaohu. Oh, fucking hell. Shun even uses his ult, which would have been overkill anyway. Xiaohu has just not been communicating with his team his wave states. I think that the best wave state playing mid laners right now have been, well, I mean, it's the 3 now left in. I think that, I mean, Chovy is almost always the best at that, but I think that Faker and Knight have been very good at that too. I think that Zeka got completely turbo stomped by Knight because of the wave management. Because if you look back at that series, you can go back and watch the VOD review, which we saw on that one. He was very commonly just making sure that Zeka has was kind of zoned out on the wave, and a similar kind of thing there. Even though Knight's not in lane, Xiaohu has to overpush it to try and get himself on a reset, and he just greeds for it, and he's not communicating that to his team. Okay, so dive beyond the turret. Does allow Elkin on to go onto that turret. Do they get a plate out of this? Chris dies, gets a kill into Bin. Sapling kind of kills them though. The slow is kind of nasty. Light gets some decent damage, but he's only got a cull and a tear, so he doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but whatever. Xiaohu ends up walking top lane to get this kill. Who does he go on to? Does he go on to Xiaohu? Yeah, kind of needs to. So Knight has pen boots. Worth noting, folks, that if you go for pen boots, you have better turret damage. Knight actually gets a plate in mid lane. Akali should never be getting plates on mid lane turret. Yeah, it's a bad time if Akali starts getting like random mid lane turret plates. You're not very good at taking them. Your wave clear is not fantastic. You're not great at hitting turrets, but hey, he gets one anyway. Gets them a little bit more gold. Okay. Knight has a Dark Seal as well. It's worth noting, Akali is not worth playing unless you get ahead of the game. If you fall behind the game, this champion is ass. Now, Xiaohu got that kill topside, so he does get a extra little bit of gold. However, Knight is still relevant. Knight's still relevant. And as the only magic damage in the game right now, with a bunch of armor on the other side, Zeke's gives you, what, 25 magic this? It's not awful, but yeah, Knight is very happy with how he's playing. So 3 for 3 in grubs. BLG ended up getting themselves first dragon as a trade for those second grubs. Bin's in an okay spot. I mean, a lot of this game will just be on how much work in the backline can Knight, Elk, and Bin do. Well, the whole team do. How much backline work can BLG do? If it goes frontline to frontline, actually even with frontline to frontline, it's not bad for BLG because they have Alistar ult. I mean, if Rumble gets a huge stonking ult, then maybe you can force the backline to disengage or not get good damage. So Breathe needs to be very careful with his, well, very clinical with his ults. Needs to figure out what he actually wants to do with them. Xiaohu's doing okay in the side lane. We can see that Jax eventually does pretty well versus Yone, but not now. Not right now. In games where Jax can go tabby, feels a lot better. But against Rumble, you can't do that, obviously. So, yeah, Xiaohu's very happy with that. And also with 3 grubs as well, Yone gets to walk up to tower and hit for free. Because you use your E. And, yeah. Yone just gets free tower plates. I think he does it here even. Yeah. Walks up here, gets demolished, she has grasp, gets himself a full turret plate. Yone things. This is one of the reasons why Yone will forever be in pro play in this iteration of League. He just gets turret plates for free. Unless his laning phase becomes unplayable, or AD mid laners just don't fit into meta of other roles, it's just, yeah. Kind of shit. I also think that one of the things about having AP junglers so strong has done is allowed teams to innovate magic damage or physical damage in mid lane or magic damage elsewhere in the team. I think it got some gears and cogs moving in the collective brains of community League of Legends, where it's like, okay, well, where can we get magic damage from if junglers are really good at this? Well, does that mean we can get it in top lane instead or in bot lane? Especially if AD champions are so strong as well. So Xiaohu doesn't get a play on that side. That's kind of sad. The Counter-Strike was well played there from Bin. He should be able to teleport back up to top side if he wants as well. I think Akali into Rumble is fine. So you can see here again, Bin... So Bin... Wait, what does Bin do there? He hasn't actually teleported back. No, he's... So actually, that was a Demolish and an E back forward. So Bin is just trying to stop Xiao from Eing the tower for free. Loses Flash and ult, but Bin loses Flash. I think that's actually better for Weibo. Xiao who can still use his E. Jax kind of needs his Flash more. I think Yone just has way more mobility. See that? You know, Knight is fine clearing out the wave here. I think this is the better lane assignment for BLG as it stands. Well, yeah, it's whatever. I think what Bin can do is stop Xiaohu from hitting turret as easily with Counter-Strike. He doesn't get to push the wave, but he can potentially stop Xiaohu from hitting the turret for free. Which means he gets less gold, hopefully, maybe. Level 11 on Breathe, that's, yeah, kind of spooky. Ults the wave, knows he's on weak side. Does it, hang on, does it even stop anything? He doesn't, you have Alistair ult. Oh, no. Well, yeah, Knight gets a kill, gets 2 Dark Seal stacks on really good use of the Alistair ult. It's a good use of time as well. No one's on the other side of the map. Knight can immediately recall, he can go towards top side if he wants. You can give up a dragon. You know, you've got a minute until dragon, but there's no particular reason why BLG needs to square up towards that. You've used your Alistair ult now, you don't need to go towards that. Getting gold onto Knight gets him towards his Storm Surge. He's now on double flat pen spike. Light has 0 magic resist, which could be a big problem for him. You also get a demolish from Ben on bot side. Doesn't kill the full turret, but it just means that you can't leave that turret unattended now. Knight goes towards top side, doesn't even use his teleport. That's fine. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. I was wondering if you would teleport and just get an immediate push, but that would have been too much. Sometimes I think a little bit badly about teleports like that. Ooh, teleport to this side of the map. You can just walk there. It is actually completely fine. You got these legs for a reason. Okay, so Knight goes topside, pushes in that turret, forces Breathe to respond. They both have teleport. Breathe doesn't have ult for a few seconds. Herald goes in mid. Breathe, why are you staying there so long? Oh, does he die? Does it die to the grub buff and Breathe doesn't like that? It's because this is really problematic for Weibo, because you can't... You want to be 5v5ing with Sejuani and Maokai ults, kind of like just pinning someone down in the front line and stopping people getting towards the back line. But, I mean, it's not a bad flash away from Breathe, but, I mean... Also, really good from on there just to block out the Electro Harpoon. So Knight gets the kill, immediately teleports back out. I think that's completely fine. He has 4 Dark Seal stacks now. So this is important, by the way, folks. This is why Rumble is bad into Jax. Yeah. No, he's not. No, he's actually not that weak on weak side. With the amount of wave clear you get, you can stop Jax from getting into the wave that easily. This one was just a... This was actually more of an Alistair problem in these sidelines. I don't think this is a Rumble problem. Rumble is actually okay into Jax. We've definitely seen Rumble just wave clear sidelines and turn up to team fights. Weibo are just kind of falling prey to On just walking around the map and comboing up with people into sidelines. That was a misjudging on the amount of damage the tower would take. That's actually Breathe misjudging that. Do you think Light deserves a transfer to a super team to get some titles? Sometimes I feel he is giga stacked with Chao and Chris. Well, Weibo was meant to be a super team, Sevlong. Weibo, for all intents and purposes, over the last 2 years, have had super teams. When you have, you know, if you look at these names on paper, when you have, you know, Tarzan, you have Xiaohu, Light, who is one of the best AD carries in the LPL, Crisp as well. Breathe is also one of our better things as well. Weibo is a super team. They have just fooled us for most of the year into thinking they're bad. So, yeah. No, yeah, Yanya's right there. And if you think about last year when they loaded in with, you know, the Shy and Casa, and then that moved over to Weiwei as well. You know, Weiwei's maybe the one, kind of the odd one out there as the person who hadn't been to an international event before. But, you know, that was considered a super team as well. But just over the last 2 years, they've just had really weird form. Now, Weibo are technically a super team. We've had a bunch of them. I mean, this year, obviously, BLG is a super team. They're in a weird spot. I think coming out of last year into this one, yeah. I think when you have Bin and Knight on the same team, they kind of count. The problem is the other 3 members don't. Not really.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? I know a lot of...
I'm in my Jedi robes for Halloween party times.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Castle with Mega Wash? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, no. But if you look at all those names on paper, like last year as well, when you had top esports with Tien, Rookie, Jaculov, you could maybe say that was a super team as well.
I think that was personally.
Huh?
I think that was personally.
Yeah, but like you look at BLG. BLG this year, BLG were really good last year. They were the second best team behind JDG. It's still weird for me to call them a super team because Elk, On, and Shun are not always deserving of the super team moniker. However, Bin and Knight kind of make this team a super team. I guess any team with Bin and Knight on probably are. So that's probably the way that you view it.
I feel like there's been points where Shun could be considered for that. I know there's been some debate among some analysts about how good Shun has actually been, when sometimes it's like, has he lived up to his own hype type things?
I think he's clearly a tier below, a tier or 2 tiers below Kanavi, Tarzan, Tian.
Yeah. Though I will say, I think he had a very good set of Skarner games this series.
it was fine.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
I don't think. No, I don't think. Yeah, I actually think he was fine. He was nothing really special. Hey, Rakitic, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it.
Anyway, I'm probably going to head out towards the bar shortly.
Okay.
You've got the address, do you need
No,
the address? I'll send that to you.
Yeah.
I've already sent that over.
Cool. All right, folks, let's get on with this then. But yeah, I think because Knight joined BLG, who are the second best team in the last year, you can make an argument they're a super team, but I think there is actually an asterisk there. They are good because they play well together, not because... Look, a super team should be every single player, or like majority of the team are like stupidly good individuals. And I think you can argue that for Knight and Bin. I think the other three, the more we've VOD reviewed, the more I'm like, well, that might be in question. I think any team with Bin and Knight on probably just about qualify, but just remember there's an asterisk there. Yeah. BLG made a failed super team in 22. BLG had made multiple super teams, or they've attempted to. I mean, they brought Uzi back from retirement. Yeah, they have had a bunch of people they've tried to bring back. What the fuck is happening here? Let's get back into this. So we get Hexagates are back open. Hang on, did that just happen just now? Oh, so the map just changed? And then On is like, okay, let's make the change right now. Okay, go. Hexagate's just open. Let's try and catch them napping with the Hexagates coming back up. Knight has level 11. Nobody doesn't have ult. Oh, and then On just misjudges the state of the map. He tries to make a very quick play just after this happens. He does get a headbutt onto Tarzan, but he does have flash. Yeah, and you don't have a Kali ult. Okay, so Shun manages to catch Tarzan and he catches Chris, but like these are the two tanks. This is not that valuable, and you don't have something like Leandries. Elk flies in onto a tank and goes straight. Ah, Jesus, man. Like, why would you fly in for this kill? You are not killing these tanks. They both have flash. Crisp has heal. You are not killing these tanks. Breathe also has teleport. There's every chance they delay the fight and come into this. Knight still doesn't have ultimate, and he won't have it for forever. Akali ult is a very long cooldown. He gets hit by another fucking Q as well. Like, does Shahu die? Shahu dies. But it doesn't matter. The health bar's way too low. Elk flashes in. Tarzan ends up living. Knight does flash out of this. But like, why are we taking this play? I think it's such an ill-advised play from... Look, I think one of the specialist things about BLG is them building Shin, Elk, and On into world-class players, but this is just a bad decision. This is a really bad decision. Shahu doesn't die. Shahu does die. He does die, yeah. On is BLG's worst talent, but then again, LPL really lacks support talent right now. That's why I'm really hoping that players like Niket can evolve. He had a really good start to summer, but then obviously didn't quite manage to capitalize on that after. But he had some really good instincts. But I think, you know, support is so much map play that it's quite important to talk about that. So Shun gets some damage onto Light. But yeah, now this is a bit of a problem because Weibo just got 2 turrets back. They get themselves significant gold lead. Elk is now going to be... Elk is only on 1 item here, by the way. He's only on 1 item. This is only going to get worse because, you know... not Elk. Light is only on 1 item. This is only going to get worse. Gets to stand over the pit, just throw Qs time after time. Then he ease in when he feels safe. Light gets a huge ult in the middle of that fight. Doesn't need to flash. Light plays that incredibly well. Incredibly well. Super well played from Light. 4,000 damage team fight at, 17 minutes in. Super good. Okay, so BLG go back towards side lanes. Really well played from Knight to realize he can kill out in single auto. Shahu gets blocked by that as well. He knows he doesn't need to do anything. Swing and a miss there from Shun. You get the flash and the ult out of Shahu. Tower goes down as well. So Knight is, he's ahead of the game. He's got Storm Surge, and he'll be going towards what, I don't know, Protobelt or something, I guess. Yeah, Protobelt's probably good. I guess when you're trying to chase people down, it's pretty fine. That's why there were rumors LPL was thinking about importing LCK supports like Beryl. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that support has been probably the LPL's weakest role historically. But especially now that Ming is not top tier anymore, he's not even playing. And I think that Mako has some weird runs of form. Means that Ming and Mako are not really at the level they were. Then who else have you got, Which mid-tier LPL player do you think would have the best shot at a Core JJ, like, roll swap? Oh, okay. Oh, God, that's a good point. Well, Wink already did that. But I guess he wasn't, like, super, super good. Yeah, I think this year support talent has been poor for Primo. I think that's Supremo. I think that's, yeah, worth noting. Oh, he's going for Shadow Flame, not for Predator Iron. I'm bad. But it makes sense. Shadow Flame is actually a very good item right now. Bunch of AP, good amount of flat pen. Doesn't give you the HP it used to, but it's much more convenient than it was. Nidhogg, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. LCK supports are still really good. I mean, they've been very inconsistent. You know, Delight had a good Worlds, but he was very inconsistent. I think that Lehens is arguably... You know, Lehens and Pays are the lost condition for Gen G. Moam and Callan both really struggled this year. Carrier had one of the largest drop-offs of any player ever from his form earlier in the year into summer. He had an incredible fall-off. So I think that LCK supports have not had the best time of it either. Okay, On takes a bit of a chunk there. Dragon's up. You have ult from Knight now, and again, Knight is feeling pretty damn good about himself. He's pushing in top lane. If he gets a recall and he can teleport into the right place, that's pretty big. He's also pretty happy if he can get the full turret, but I don't think he can. No, Akali's not a great turret taker. Weibo managed to get themselves into River. Light is getting, you know, just getting some value. He ease over the wall, and because he ease over the wall, that allows BLG to go in. Yeah, I think actually Light EOing over the wall is the big problem here. Oh, Crisp gets brought... Okay, so I think a lot of this play happens because Light... Watch what happens here on the side, right? So BLG don't really want to face off against Ezreal in the right position. He's level 13, his E is maxed out, but right here, his E is on a 10-second cooldown. He'd need to ult back anyway. As soon as he E's over here, Elka's like, right, okay, I got tier 2 ult, and we have a bunch of engage coming through. This is our time to come in. Light cannot poke as we come into the river. We have a bunch of important cooldowns. Let's full send it right now. So as soon as that E comes in, Knight wants to get a recall off. I don't know if he can get it in time. So the dragon goes down, and he does get the recall off in time. That's important, because he gets himself Shadow Flame right now. Elk manages to get a... Oh, that's a really important Q, by the way. The Q onto Xiaohu means there's no instant ult. Elk does have Cleanse and Flash. Knight comes in with two items. Light does get 2 Qs onto Knight. The E misses, but just look how much fucking damage comes out here. And then suddenly, dead. Suddenly dead. Oh, by the way, if you're talking about Ikaria's Engage is still good enough, if you look at LCK Summer, you are completely incorrect. At this World, you might be right in saying that, but I don't know how much LCK Summer you've watched. But if you looked at LCK Summer, Carrier had very, very bad engages. His Leona was very bad, and even his Tahm Kench and stuff like that, which he was playing aggressively, was very poor as well. He's been good at Worlds, but I think it is incorrect. No, but this is what I'm saying. You need to look at the entire year. You can't just look at Worlds. And this is why you have to talk about expectations across the entire year. Before that, it was really, really problematic. So Knight, I mean, it's a support. Okay, I can't really do much there. So Knight managed to get a really good timing here. But a bunch of this play all comes from the fact that Light ease over the wall here to clear out mid-wave because Elk shoves that in. Now, Chris gets pulled out of position, too. He tries to stop Elk coming in. But, like, look how much value gets put here. Light is just so out of position. Ben gets himself, you know, a stun out there, too. Starts stacking up his passive. You know, Breathe comes in. But, you know, Bin's managed to avoid the equalizer. Xiaohu doesn't get as much value as he would like. And, yeah, Knight takes care of the... You can't judge a player from just 2 months. Yeah, I mean, in terms of Worlds. Yeah, Stefan guy, I think you're right there. Look, if you watch LCK Summer, it was one of the biggest fall-offs of an individual player in history for that period of time. Carrier was very bad in Summer. Well, Yanya, then you have to judge him by the games which lost them LCK Summer as well. You need to judge them by that, Yanya. Because Carrier was very poor in LCK Summer. It was very poor. And this is why I'm saying, like, LCK supports have not been that impressive in Summer. Okay, so the fight is won super well because, like, BLG managed to take a huge fight around Knight, getting 2 items and getting an absolutely massive play. We were talking about how, you know, this composition from BLG really comes down to how much backline work you can get. And Knight gets a huge amount there. He completely takes care of business. Light just doesn't get to play the game. Not really. Yeah, and you know, Chris gets pulled out of position. He doesn't really get that much done. His ult, he should have cast his ult before. When does he cast his ult, actually? Does he cast it after he's gone in with his W? He should have cast his W. He should have cast his ult right now, I think. No, yeah, because Chris goes for his W instead. He should have cast his ult before, because a short-range mark ult doesn't actually do that much CC. But yeah, super good damage calculation from Knight, and then you know that Chris has like 0 damage left. So yeah, awesome game from Knight. That timing to get the recall off and immediately teleport in on the item spike, which gave him the damage to kill the backline, was insane. Absolutely insane. And now you get Baron, which alleviates some of your short-range issues. Xiao, who has to ult and flash out of a side lane again. Ooh, triple knockup, but as well the tower is still up. They need to kill the turret. That sapling stops the turret from dying very quickly. Sapling and then the Sejuani ult is really good here. Watch this again. Watch this again. So On goes in, but watch what happens to these two in the back, right? Watch what happens here. Because they get slowed by a bunch of stuff. So the sapling hits them first. You can see the sapling right here. Sapling hits them, slows both of them. One of them, I think that probably Knight should have just walked up and tanked that so Elk doesn't have to take the slow. Then after that, Tarzan throws an ult back as well, hits Knight. Means that the turret dies pretty slowly. And they have to disengage. They just take the L and they leave. Yanya, it's not just because the meta was so bad for them. It's also because Keria underperformed hugely. Alongside a bunch of other stuff. I think that, yeah. You know, meta is a bunch of different factors. And a lot of it was the fact that Keria was not great at playing engage in some of this split. He's been much better on more range stuff. Xiaohu has no ult, no flash. He gets caught out by the E. Xiaohu just gets caught out again. That's insanely poor from him. Knight gets a free kill. He still has his R2 as well. You can see that the snap engage comes on the other side, but you know, Knight just goes straight onto Light again. Jesus Christ, the damage onto him. He just completely eviscerates him. He gets 3 kills out of that. Knight holding onto his R2 is so cooler and just getting huge value out of it. Yeah, I mean, Knight gets to, you know, he can buy Magi's in his next back if he wants. If he really wants to. In fact, I think he does this game. I don't really want to talk heavily about Tier 1 in the LPL series, by the way. I think we're tunneling onto something which is not a great conversation for this series, right? Anyway, so he goes Zhonya's and Magi's because he's got so much fucking gold. That's insane. But yeah, you can just see that Weibo they're getting caught out. Well, Xiaohu's getting caught out a bit. Breathers too. But, you know, BLG are playing around their solo lane. Well, they're playing around Knight very, very well. The 4-man R2 is absolutely absurd. Yeah, that's it. That's the easy one. Okay, out of replay straight into another fight. Well, it comes through. So now Dragon's up in the next few seconds. Magi's, Sonya's for Knight, as we said before. Bin has Seekers too, so he's at a huge point of power. You have AP upgrade for Elk. And you also have losing lanes everywhere for Weibo. You're getting pushed in across the board. There's nothing you can really do now at this point. Like, you don't have enough flash. I mean, okay, so Equalizer comes through. Crisp has flash, heal, ult. But he's already too close range again. And he's not tanky. Elk ults out of the Equalizer, which I think is completely fine. Knight ends up getting an E into the fight. Breathe goes into Zhonya's and it's just not enough. And this is just disgusting, man. Gets himself Storm Surge onto him, I think. Fucking hell. Yeah, that's insane. Just look at the amount of extra range that BLG have to follow up fights. Ezreal needs like 3 E's in every fight. It's why actually, hang on, this is actually an important thing, because I'll say that, look, the game's over at this point. One of the other problems is you have more. More is great once someone gets on top of you, but you really need Shojin as well. If you get Shojin, maybe you have enough E cooldown to get out of the play, but you just don't. You just don't. Xiaohu had a historically bad series. And, yeah, Knight had an incredible series on the other side. Incredible series. So, nah, zoom in on Knight. He carried this series, man. Bin had an okay series. Had an okay series. But grand majority of the series was just Knight diff, honestly. I think that quarterfinals, you know, even then, Bin had some pretty awkward team fights, but he was so good in lane that he was still the main factor that they won. I think across all knockout games, Knight, absolutely standout player for this team. I think that Shun and Elkanon have their brief moments, but they still have some holes in their gameplay. You know, I think that On has a very small champion pool right now. And I do think that Elk can get caught out on the map as well. Same with the rest of those three, really. Okay, well, I hope this was a good VOD review for you guys, folks. And yeah, thanks for joining. And I guess we'll do the same thing tomorrow when it comes around to T1 Gen G. So thanks everyone. I'm gonna end the stream on YouTube now, and thanks.